This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all it counts to me. Goodbye and good night.
Hey folks, welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Porter, and we have Rich Latta, and Rich starts the show, and I'm looking at the camera, and he's shaking his head, so you already know what kind of week this is starting out. Rich, I guess we start with MJF. So, do you want to go through the details, and then we'll talk about it, or what do you want to do?
Sure. So shortly before we went on air for One Nation Radio, came across my timeline. I got a couple text messages that MJF apparently had been saying nigga on his Instagram account in 2014, as well as and he has had this thing. People have uncovered this and screenshotted them, and he was addressing someone, but not calling them the word necessarily. Either way, the words on his account. The funniest thing I think on this thing is it says 469 weeks ago. Bleep me on that other R word, James. Sorry, just had to kind of get it out.
I can do it in post, but like this shit's gonna be that's just gonna live on the stream.
Yeah, bleep me in post. But I saw this about an hour ago, and I think it's God damn it. Look, MJF, you better get yourself out of it. You're a great talker. You're a great orator. Get yourself out, because I can't help you here, partner.
I don't want to help him. Like, I have no inclination to help him. Like you're saying the right things about you can't help him. Like, my thing is like, no, I need to stand further away than you are. I don't want to help him either. You're on your own. MJF said this stuff. It was a while ago. This is almost a decade ago. I don't fucking care. He shouldn't have said that shit. And that's the thing. And he's young, obviously. So I have to do the math on however young he really is when he said this. If you are willing to forgive him, I'm saying this is a young person that says something dumb and stupid, I would say I would wait for an apology from the man he is today before you give that out there. Before you just immediately accept the apology on behalf of whatever community you don't actually belong to. But, he stepped in it and has came back. And this is the thing that's like part of social media is people, gain notoriety and people look through to see if they've said things in their past that are terrible. And they got them. And however he handles this is up, and however he decides to address or not address this is up to him. And people will, decide on what they think of him or how their opinions change on him after this. And I think that's more than fair. So shouldn't have said that shit.
Yeah. And regardless of what the outset of this all tends to be, because obviously when these things happen, people try to open up larger conversations about intent and if this person's a racist. I don't care about any of that. You know, let's solve this problem here, and then we can worry about anything else afterward.
Right. Because often what happens in these conversations when it comes to a white person stepping in it, right, and doing a racism, is it then turns from you did something to what this person is this or this one dreaded R word for racist or not, and it becomes like not what the conversation was. It was like, hey, you said this, what the fuck, into whether or not trying to determine what's in somebody's heart or in their soul or in their spirit and their character. And it's like, don't care, bro. Like, I think I always use this analogy. Like, you have a kid and they stole something from the toy shop when you were, while you were at like Publix or the grocery store or whatever else. They grabbed it, or they stole some candy or whatever else. You're not concerned about whether or not your son is, or your child, or your daughter is now a future criminal mastermind or is now going to be some type of, felon. You're more concerned about like, hey, you did something you weren't supposed to do. What the fuck? So for me, it's always, I don't care about that part. I don't care about that. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Like, I don't know these people. So like, for all these years, there have been plenty of people that are, bigots and hateful people that I do not know in the public space, that I do not know otherwise. And because that's life. But as far as like publicly facing people, whatever else, he said this shit in public. And now he's a public figure. He's got to deal with this, or he should deal with this, whatever else. And that's on him on however he handles it. So like, and that's what I'm concerned about, because at the end of the day, whether he says the right thing or not say anything at all, I'm never going to know what he is as a person, because he's a worker, and plus, like, I don't know him. So, I don't care about that part.
Yeah. Him being from Long Island, and as you pointed out in the pre-show, James, America, this doesn't exactly come as some shock. What's up to all our listeners in Long Island? But yeah, man, he needs to come out in front of this. MJF is known to be perpetually online, so I don't think he can plausibly deny this and be like, yeah, I didn't see what was going on or anything like that. No, we have proof, sir. Like, of just about every promo you do, is like, you're borrowing from different conversations that are going on and everything like that. So one can hope he comes out and apologizes, means it, and kind of goes from there. But yeah, I kind of always look at, as James said, when there's a white athlete or there's somebody that's like getting a bunch of attention, a lot of like, kind of someone that's kind of turned into a star. It's like, all right, let's do the scan. Let's see what's on there. And then you're either relieved or you're not. And then it's up to you. Personally, I kind of like stopped caring about people's social media habits from a decade ago, a little while ago. Mm-hmm. This is a little different because obviously we're pretty connected to this. I'd say, I really don't care what a football player said or anything like that. But since this is a little bit different, I think he needs to fix this. And I don't think it's up to the company. I don't think it's anything like that. It's like, yeah, get your ass out here, however you're gonna do it, and talk to people, because I know he has contacts that he can reach out to. I know that he has people he can kind of, I don't want to say
you mean all the black people he's done comedy skits with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I think there's also like black people in media that he's friendly with, and right, things like that. So I think he can look. I think he knows right from wrong. And one can only hope that this isn't just swept under the rug, because I'll always remember it.
Yep. I was thinking of before we started recording the podcast, like thinking of the conversation, like, is this, we do the thing normally, like when something grave happens before, like, should we now play the music? I was like, I was thinking about like the idea of like, now it's time to play the music, but like, we've already played the music. But so where do you want to go from there?
Man.
Because then, later in the show, we're going to talk about MJF anyway. So, but where do you want to start this week?
We can start with the NBA Finals.
Okay.
Denver Nuggets defeat the Miami Heat 4-1. I believe both James and I said this would be a sweep.
Yep.
And if they didn't steal game 2, I'm pretty certain we were wrong by 3 points, James.
Yeah.
As the great Hakeem Olajuwon would say, we was wrong. This was a very fun kind of series. Like, to me, it wasn't particularly heated. It wasn't particularly like drama filled or anything. Aside from Game 5, I love Game 5. And it was really just cool to see like Jokic like just handle his business. This oddly felt like one of the old Lakers titles. It's like, yeah, the East team really ain't got nothing for them, but they're gonna try and everything like that. But this center is gonna fucking annihilate you. Like, and then the guard over there, y'all ain't got nothing for him either. So I was pretty entertained by the Nuggets, and I think they're an awesome team. It's amazing that they did this with the bench or lack thereof that they did it with. It felt like they were playing 6 guys, 7 guys, especially like during portions of the Lakers series. And then as they were getting towards their wins in the finals. But it really comes down to they got Jokic and the Heat don't. And no one else does really has Jokic, but this guy's very special, and I think he's someone that people are going to. I don't even know if the championship is going to silence the people that just either didn't get it, didn't want to get it, or anything like that. But there's no reason he can't stack a couple of these up as long as Jamal Murray's legs don't explode or anything like the last couple years. This thing could have been starting earlier, James.
Yeah, I just think that the league, the way it is now, and also with the CBA going forward, is going to be like the people that want to do the try to link up thing. Like, it's going to be you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of bread to make it happen in a way that like is going to deter a lot of people from doing it. Obviously, the max salary thing is such a stupid concept to begin with. They should just open it all up. If you want to give Steph Curry 75% of the salary of your salary cap, he deserves it. He's good. He's valuable enough to be worth that amount of money. And then you can like slot these salaries in kind, right? In the right kind of place. But that's not going to happen, and we are stuck with this antiquated system. And now it seems like going forward, even when you draft well, it's going to be similar to NFL, where it's like, even if you draft well, you'll be punished for drafting well. You will have to get rid of players that you drafted. Like, you're looking at the moves that the Nuggets made. And we'll get to like celebrating the Nuggets and Jokic in a second from my perspective. But you look at like what the Nuggets did when they trade that they just had with who was it? Was it the Jazz? I can't remember who it was, but like they traded a first round draft.
Thunder.
Pick. Who?
I think it was the Thunder.
Yes, that's right. It's with Presti. That's right. They flipped. They traded away like their 2027 or 2026 draft pick to get one of the Nuggets, or one of the war chests of draft picks that the the Thunder had in this draft. And it's like they're already plotting where it's like, okay, so the Thunder are expecting like post Jokic's peak to kind of be like, a team that's going to be on the decline, obviously. And they're going to try to short them and say, like, all right, if y'all stink or y'all blow it up and y'all don't have a good team, we'll get a lottery pick. And on the other end, the Nuggets are like, well, we need another draft pick here because, like, we need, a cheap salary of a player that could possibly make an impact or whatever else. We'll take a lotto ticket and we'll possibly have to deal with whatever happens with, either Porter or Jamal Murray when it comes time over the next 3 years. And that sucks that like you draft those three guys together, or not together, but you draft those three guys and like you're not going to be able to keep this because the luxury tax will beat you over the head. Like that stinks. And like we already saw that, earlier last decade with the Thunder, but like this is even more punitive or whatever else was coming. Whereas like, yeah, the Thunder should have kept James Harden and just paid him $80 million and gone over the luxury tax, because eventually after James Harden left, what they end up doing? Paying the luxury tax. But now it's going to be like, it's going to hammer you. So it's going to be so cost prohibitive to try to stack teams for like multiple years to go over the cap, to where it's like teams aren't going to do that. They're just going to blow this shit up. Like anytime there's some team that gets bounced in the second round that didn't like live up to expectations, they're going to blow that shit up immediately. A lot faster than were previous years. Like they're already talking about shopping Karl Anthony Towns, right? It's already happening. And going into the offseason or going into the season last year when I hated that trade, I was like, they're going to have to move Karl Anthony Towns. That was before they had this stuff figured out with the CBA, and now it's even worse. But besides that point, like the top of the league is not have teams with more flaws than there were 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Like you look at 2019 through now, you've had 5 different champions. All of them were, comparatively speaking, to the prior teams from like 2018 and into 2015, 2018, like teams that didn't win titles would have walked through some of these playoffs. And I think a lot of people like the part where it's easy. It's not as insurmountable as you have to play 4 Hall of Famers on the Warriors or you have to play, peak LeBron James, Kyrie Irving in his right mind and Kevin Love, but it is, I think it's more entertaining to the average fan that talks about and complained about, like, it just seems like big markets or the players are linking up. I think that kind of this will bring team or people that were like kind of disillusioned by that back. But, I don't know if the NBA, which has lived off of Boston, New York, LA, Chicago, and whatever gigantic number one player that's outside those markets, like to dominate the league. I don't know if the league, it's going to look different than what it's ever been in our lifetimes going forward. So I find it to be interesting.
Adam Silver has I saw something. It was like Adam Silver has like 7 champions in the time that David's in 10 years.
Yeah.
And David Stern had like 8 champions in 30 years. Yeah. So it's a different day now. And I think I kind of dig this. So,
I like it in the sense that in a weird way, like in this league, if a LeBron James came around or Victor Wembanyama, right, comes around, he's going to have a chance to stay there and stay there his entire career. Or LeBron would have had the whole time to stay there his whole career without the pressure from the outside screaming on him. There was like, this organization drafted you because they were so incompetent. They lucked into getting you, and then they immediately tried too fast to try to skip steps to get you to this level. Now you're artificially there, and you're not at your peak as a player yet, but you're going to be hitting your head against the glass ceiling and cracking your head for a few years, and people are going to look at you like, what the hell's wrong with you? While you're averaging, 35 in a series and losing. Stuff like that happened to LeBron. Now, there is no, KG at 31, Paul Pierce in his early 30s, Ray Allen in their 30s. They're still in their prime. 3 first ballot Hall of Famers all link up together, and now it's like, oh well, I gotta face them by myself. That sucks. But so in a way, like with LeBron, the super team thing, and then him going to Miami pissed off so many people, and then the Warriors thing happened with Durant, and like people weren't as pissed, but they realized it was more damaging. LeBron ended up in Miami, and like.
I felt like that was like proper comeuppance, though. That was like, oh, so you here's the blueprint you laid. Well, is here it is, done even better, and now you got to deal with it.
Yeah, sure. I wouldn't deny that, But I wasn't talking about like I'm not saying this is unfair to LeBron. Like, he did what he did and whatever. He's benefited from it. He's lost because that's the game. But I meant as far as like LeBron bumping his head against this stuff, creating it, and then bumping his head against it again, like makes it to where like now, if there is another LeBron looking at it now, that person won't have to go through all that because these teams won't be able to these teams or players won't be able to just collect talent that kind of way for a long period of time. So, that person won't have that kind of outsized pressure. It's like, in theory, obviously, there'll still be Skip Baylesses around and we'll still talk about, you scored 30 and average, and made 60% of your shots. That wasn't enough. You're a loser. You'll still be, people will always doubt people and stuff and say stupid things until they finally win because people are fucking idiots, but whatever. I'm glad Jokic won, so I don't have to hear any of the stupid shit ever again. Well, for long, at least for a year, but like, the dude's been incredible. He's been an incredible playoff performer. Like, he's 68 games now at this point. He's averaging like 27, 12, and 8 in the playoffs. Some shit like that. And like, he now has that to go with it. And like, I don't know what he averaged in the finals. I know what he averaged in this playoff run, like 30 and 13 and a half and 9.5 assists. Like, he's incredible.
Well,
and
I can just say this,
is an all-time run, and I'm happy he got it. And like, people will have to shut up for a few years at least.
He led the finals in points, rebounds, and assists.
He led the playoffs in that, not just
playoffs.
The finals. The entire playoffs.
Sorry,
first person ever
entire playoffs. Yes. So I feel like Kendrick Perkins, you stole from Nikola Jokic. I feel like we talked about maybe like a month ago, like, what if like this guy was actually stolen from this year, and Joel Embiid's carrying around that MVP now, and stop this man from having like one of the like just all time years that one could have, and it's I
think that was more valid.
That all happened.
I think it was more valid when a lot more valid when like Kendrick Perkins was doing it like live, when like that it was just the returns on like people asking for a percentage of the voters, right? And Bon Temps does this every year. He does like 50 games in, or halfway through the season, 60 games in, 70 games in, or whatever else. It's almost like when people like collect the Heisman balloting or whatever else, and just check the parts of it and be like, all right, where we are in the race. They're handicapping it, right? And Jokic was ahead because he was great. And, like Mark, and people freaked out. I was like, oh my God, he has this huge landslide of percentage over Embiid, and he's about to win his third one. He hasn't made the finals yet. And, at that time it was like, Jokic probably is the MVP right now, but like, there's still half of the season left. And like, Jokic and the Nuggets basically tanked out all of March, and then like Embiid went crazy, and like
the conversation
I feel like Embiid successfully won this MVP, but like, it was a regular season award. It's always a regular season award. We only do this shit when like try to like take these things in retrospect after the fact, and not like, in most cases. Some cases where it's like Steve Nash won either one of those, but you get my point. Like, for the most part,
they were using postseason stuff to like say why he shouldn't win the regular season award,
and it was dumb because it's like, look at his numbers. What is he not doing to say to justify him being MVP?
It's just like the conversation got so very toxic, around both of them, with JJ Redick, and I think JJ Redick is like a guy that is ultimately means well, but sometimes misses the point.
Well, JJ Redick
in his arguing, like he's so focused on the argument. It's like, have you considered anything else? And if you like say that to him, he would be like, no. Like,
yeah. The Redick part, the part where Redick messed up, and I think this is the only part he messed up, was him saying like he was like incredulous that white people would do something racially biased, and it's like, hey man, you're out of your mind if you think that they wouldn't do this. Like, if you're saying it, leave that part aside. Focus on what's the real part, which is like, Jokic was MVP at this point in time. There's still like 30 games left. Things is closer than the voting should be. That's weird. He shouldn't have defended none of that. He shouldn't have. And then Jokic and the Nuggets laid it down in March. Embiid played out of his mind in March. And Embiid rightfully won it. Now, we're going to go to the next year. People are going to talk all sorts of shit about Embiid. And, hey, man, like, it's kind of been a long time coming. He's skated on some of this stuff. I don't think he's been as bad in the postseason as people have made it out to be. Like, it's not like he's James Harden in the playoffs. But he has like, had struggles or whatever else in key moments or whatever else. But, like, that's kind of the case for everyone. Except for Jokic. Jokic's like the only person that's never had so many type of struggles in the playoffs. They just, I've been incredible, I've lost. The end. Like, even Giannis. Giannis is struggling in the playoffs at times. He's struggling in this playoffs. So yeah, I'm happy.
Did he fail?
Sorry?
Did he fail in those playoffs?
Oh. Yeah. We never talked about that, did we?
I don't know.
Yeah, I get where he's coming from. He's wrong. He should just leave it alone. Like, he just does not like the word fail. Like, he's just wrong. Just how we were talking about with Kyrie Irving and what anti-Semitism is, and how it's like, this
decided it meant something else.
This is a bag of cough drops, and he'd be like, no, it's not. He's like, no, it is. It's literally what it is. Like, he's arguing that failure does not mean the definition of failure. And like, yeah, you failed, bro, but like, you're upset because you don't see things from the worldview of other people, and like, that's cool and positive. You're like that, and that's what driven you to be that level of player. But we ain't trying to hear you say that like this wasn't a failure when you were the 1 seed or had the best record in the entire league and y'all lost in the first round.
5.
That is a failure. That is a failure, just by definition. No, not to argue about saying we're gonna take your rings and repossess your MVPs, but like man, you just failed. It happens. People fail. It's sports. That's the part. That's why sports is great. You fail, you get your ass kicked, you win something, and then you lose. And like, that was kind of what his point was, but his thing was like, bro, you getting stumbled on this one word that's bothering you. Forget that word. Pretend the word don't exist.
Yeah. But shouts out to the Nuggets getting that. DeAndre Jordan becoming the one to get the ring before Blake Griffin and Chris Paul. I love it.
I think it's funny that like we mentioned this, but like we don't bring up Reggie Jackson and Russell Westbrook. But I see this what we doing. I see this what we're doing.
Why would I bring that up?
We only slander the people that we don't like.
Why would I bring that up?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what else we got on this thing? Jokic.
Hey, speaking of that, wait a second. Ibaka won on those Raptors teams. Durant won 2. Harden and Westbrook the only 2 that ever won. I never thought about that until just now. Okay, yeah.
But Nikola Jokic himself wanted to kind of talk about like the perception around him. There was a comment with Dr. Larry saying Jokic doesn't have that superstar look. That's why they're so anti-Jokic.
Maybe there's something definitely to that, but like there's a lot of stuff. There's the big man stuff. There's the foreigner stuff, and there's also part where it's like he appears to want none of this shit. And that's not good. Like in the long run, that's not necessarily the best thing for the league. Like look at what happened with the Spurs and Duncan, right? Whereas like,
and I don't think people want another one of those,
right? Because like you're not watching them. Like we watch hoops. We grew up playing ball, all that kind of stuff. We'll watch any old game or whatever else. But like the casual viewer wants to see, like somebody that's compelling, somebody that like is a personality, someone with some flair for the occasion, right? And like I can watch Jokic and be in awe of the part where like I think he's the second greatest passer that's not a traditional point guard in the history of basketball. It's him and LeBron. That's it. And throwing Larry Bird for people who lose their fucking mind. Sure, those 3, right? Throw those 3. So, but like for me, is like to see a dude be able to shoot like that, don't get off the floor, don't block the or protect the rim, not able to like step up even like up to the 3-point line against pick and roll, has to ice everything or sit everything, and they have to like move around him defensively to make things work in the scheme. And like all these things that you think, when you look at like players and their flaws or whatever else, and you're like, this shit should be a dub for him. He could be a great player, but can he be the best player on the championship team? And it's like, you look at that stuff on, and you kind of say no. the league has changed, and like the answer is yes now. And like I'm happy that like somebody as unconventional as the norms are for like what we expect out of a superstar NBA player, where it's like either you got to be a freak athlete or you got to be someone with like, or you got to be Steph Curry, where you're like, oh, once he gets over half court, he's in range, and that causes such a scramble for defenses and confusion for everybody. This is another person that breaks the mold. And I think, and Giannis was the same thing, where it's like you have this guy that's basically a power forward that has handle, it can get downhill and can pass the ball around because he was given the opportunity to handle the ball or whatever else. He's unconventional. And like, I just think like, it's really cool to see dudes that are, you know, not just all like different versions of Michael Jordan. I think it's cool, but I don't know if he captures the imagination like, you know, to everybody else, even though they see him put the ball in the hoop.
Like they see the numbers. They see the numbers and don't realize what's happening almost. Yeah. Like, it's like, hold on. He has 36, 22 and 12.
Right.
What? It just doesn't look like how you think that stat line would look. So I think it's pretty confusing. One thing I do think about Jokic's game, sometimes I think he looks to pass too much.
That's true.
That's like, true. You know, like sometimes like when he's like 10 feet from the rim and he's got like one dribble and the ability to go up, he's looking for the pass immediately over for the layup and throwing it to like a point guard or something, and they're just too small. There's too many trees down there. Right. That's the only like real criticism I think I could really put on him. And sometimes like he'll just, it feels like he's just running around out there sometimes. Yeah. But
that happened more in the Lakers series where you saw that, and I think that was because he was bothered by Anthony Davis' like ability to like, with Jokic, like he has the kind of touch where it's like anytime he throws up any floater or whatever in the lane, like it almost never misses. So like you're kind of like, hey man, if you're right here, just throw up the floater and it'll go in. So right. So in my mind, I think the same thing too. But I think it's almost like the way that like Steph Curry, the way where like his shooting fucks you up so bad and you're so concerned about it that like once he sets a screen, you're toast, because it's like him setting a screen will literally have two people on the screener as opposed to the person who lives on the ball sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. His passing ability will fuck up your defense so badly because obviously it's not just like the part where he's incredible and he has court vision for his size and all that kind of stuff. It's the height and the vision and the ability to make virtually any pass with his right hand. And also where he is on the floor when he's making these passes, it's because he's tearing you up from the inside out. Like, he's equivalent of somebody gets a ball screen or someone gets downhill deep into the paint and then kicks out. Because he's so deep into the paint all the time, they're like, eyes are being dragged to him and people are cutting, back cuts and all that kind of stuff, and people will keep running because they know if they get open, he's going to get them open. And sometimes there'll be situations where like the person might cut, don't even realize they're actually open. He'll put the ball on them. He'll be like, holy shit. Oh, okay, lay up. So I think the thing is like, the passing will cause so many problems for defenses that like it opens up the ability to get easy shots. Like, the reason why he shoots 40-some% from the 3-point line is because no one dares go out there to guard him because they're so concerned of like trying to lean back to get into the passing lanes, to get more depth, to get into the passing lanes, make his passes harder. Like, so he's just like, okay, I'll take this wide open 3-pointer, and that's why like he's not being guarded from 3-point line like Dirk. Hell no. But he may as well be, because like his passing is such a weapon that like you can't come out to him to guard him, because like he also can like push you on his shoulder or on his hip, and once he puts you on your hip, you're never getting back in position. So
he's so big. Yeah,
he's big, he's strong, he flops, but he's not soft, which also is a mind fuck.
The Marcus Smart All-Stars.
Like that's stuff's only reserved for guards. Like being a flopper but not soft, that's only reserved for guards. Normally. So yeah, he's just a matchup nightmare. Because like the league has gotten so small, and the guys that would have better chance at guarding him, those guys, like you put them on the floor against him over time, and like his team's going to score points regardless, whether he gets them or his teammates get them. And you go out there with the guy that can guard him, and chances are you're going to suffer having him on the court with your floor spacing. So he's just a huge problem, and like he's going to be doing this for like the next 5 years. He's going to be around this level if he can stay healthy. And I'm interested to see where he ends up, because I think I already think he's like one of the 25 greatest players of all time. I think he can get he could threaten for the top 15 by the time we get done with his next half decade, because he's that damn good. Yeah,
no doubt, man. But yeah, man, wanted to move on.
Yeah, and maybe Jamal Murray makes an all-star team.
Maybe they gotta have to put some respect on him.
Yeah,
put some spec on him.
Yeah. Did you notice? That now at the very end of year 4 in game 5 of this series, that Michael Porter Jr. finally said, "Hey, what if I played basketball and I say, hey, what if I was figured out ways to contribute to winning on the team without involving putting the ball in the basket? Like, what if I cut? What if I
rebound?
What if I rebound? What if I block the shot here and there? And what if I use my 6'9" frame to actually play like I'm 6'9" instead of 6'5"? And if he bro, I see why people think he could be great. I don't think it's ever gonna happen, but if the light switch ever goes off, he's gonna be fucking awesome,
bro. I feel like he's like Rashard Lewis right now.
There's a lot of that. There's definitely something to that. I think Rashard probably had a better handle than him, but definitely the idea of this 6'9" guy that you can shoot and he's never getting a shot blocked, and you can run off all sorts of screens. You can put him in space. Yeah, there's definitely something to that. Definitely.
Seamus Nova says y'all need to have the Fraud Watch discussion about Jimmy No Buckets.
Okay.
He went crazy. So some of the stuff with Jimmy Butler, I think, is off-putting for people sometimes. Like a lot of these, every story is he's had the roughest, toughest upbringing. I know a lot of that stuff is true. That when he says something like, I'm not even gonna go to my Hall of Fame ceremony and all that, it's almost like a meme at this point. I think he was very worn down, very tired by the time the finals came.
Yep.
There may or may not have been some personal stuff going on with him, so with his family. But just looking on the basketball court in Game 5, and I know a lot of people were not liking the game. I thought this was super competitive. The refs swallowed their whistles and said, "Y'all figure it out." And it honestly felt like an older finals era. And I was with it. It was just it was turnover after turnover, just stop after stop. And it was the next person to score a bucket is going to swing the whole momentum of the game. And I just really like that. But Jimmy Butler was very quiet during a lot of this, and then he tried to heat up at the end, but there just wasn't enough. And it was he
scored 12 straight points or something like that.
Yeah, because I remember it was they were showing the graph. It was 8 points, 2 of 11, and it's Mark Jackson's calling him out hey man, where you at? Either you tired or you not, or you hurt, or you on the court now. You gotta get busy. And to his credit,
he answered the bell at the end.
He did. But it's there's only so much I can call someone a fraud or anything like that I think is as competitive as he is.
Yep.
Has done the winning that he has from the position that team came as a play-in team, beating all the teams in the East, and then without home court advantage,
shits the bed once they get to the finals.
Yeah, and they're going up against
turn into Strus and Caleb Martin again.
Right, this is I hate to say it, this is the Miami Heat are who we thought they were,
right?
Because eventually that talent gap is gonna come into effect. You got to work so much harder, all those guys, to close the talent gap. And yes, they were undrafted. Yes, they have been in the NBA, but there's just different classes of guys. I'm sorry, Gabe Vincent was excellent all throughout these playoffs.
Yep.
He's not Jamal Murray.
Right.
And it's just
and Gabe actually showed up in the finals.
Right. And excuse me, Nigerian basketball legend Gabe Vincent. It's just he's not Jamal Murray, and that's fine. Like, but like I think the only situation it would be fair was if they like dropped some, like they had some monumental collapse or something. This is what these guys still overachieved.
Right. And like they only got blown out. Well, they like 5-game series, they won one, and 2 of the games they lost were very close. Right? Like this was a competitive series and went 5-5, and that's, I think, is a testament to how, like you mentioned, that there is a talent gap, but it didn't matter because they still figured out ways to muck the fucking game up. Like, to see, I thought that the Nuggets' approach to attacking their zone got better and better as the series went on. Meanwhile, I'm watching them play the Celtics, and I'm watching them like not figure out in game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and never fucking figure it out. So, and even while that's happening, like, they still figured out how to, or not figure out, but like the Nuggets can't make a single shot because both teams have played so hard that everybody's on the floor and the refs swallowing the whistle, which led to some of the stupidest shit happening on the floor where it was about to almost knock out Kyle Lowry because he was so pissed with him, and also Hayward Highsmith. But like that is why like I am so impressed with like what Miami does is like they went into this fight knowing that like the best we can do is go the distance with them every round. And they got their asses kicked a lot, right? They're too small, right? Like there were bad situations, like up until, game 2 changed some things when like they put Kevin Love in to get, Aaron Gordon off of Jimmy Butler because like it was hurting Jimmy Butler as far as his ability, like not to be able to put his shoulder or his hip into Jamal Murray or any other of the guards and just muscle people around the rim. But like, with all that stuff being said, they kept being able to manufacture like good looks from 3. It's just, they didn't make them this round, which is that's the various 3-point shooting. Sometimes you make them, like in the Celtics series. Sometimes you don't, right? And like they were like a March Madness team. They were like a sub 5. They were like a 6 or below seed that makes the Final Four, and like they make threes against and they knock out Kansas or Carolina some shit on Elite 8.
That's all the teams now in college.
Well, yeah. But even like they fit that stereotypical mold, and like, hey man, like I know people still talk about the zone thing and like and everything, and if you don't like the zone with Monty, fine. But the way that they run their zone is so different from when people talk about the reason why they don't like zone as far as being so passive and blah, 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 blah. Like, the things they do and the way they refill and replace people and like, you can't get a screen on one side and everything and just do whatever you want and just, someone run the baseline and someone flash the middle, and it's real simple, like, because that shit is like, 1 minute it's a 3-2, the ball swings, it's a 3-2, and then next triple the floor, it's a 1-3-1. Like, it's the league, whoever, like, I can't wait till Nick Nurse ends up in Phoenix, or is in Phoenix. Or, I'm sorry, he's in Philly. But, like, I cannot wait until Nick Nurse watches them all summer and instills this shit, because he's going to do it. Like, there are going to be NBA teams that steal that zone and figure out what principles are and how to, and what they do to make this shit work like this, and, like, it's going to be around the league. And I know people may or may not want to see zone over. It's going to happen because it's too fucking effective to be able to not make this happen. But anyway, like, yeah, man, like as far as Jimmy, I think he's an overachiever for his whole entire career. Like, like I've always thought, like about a decade ago, I always thought like him and Paul George are like, those are like just outside the top 10 best players in the league or whatever else. And they're on that 12 range, 13 range. And, like, can he be the best player on the team? No. Did they win his title? No. But, they might be able to make a run, and Jimmy's been able to make runs where Paul never has made him make a run. And, like, he got to the finals again.
I gotta say, though, Paul George does have a lot of conference finals in both conferences.
He has 1 in the West. He has, 2?
At least 2 in the East.
He has 2. Yeah. But like he's never been like a game away.
Yeah.
He's never been, not even that. Jimmy's gotten to 2. And no knock against Paul George. It's like, when the playoff P thing happened, and like you had this stretch of just bad playoff performances and getting, eviscerated by LeBron, or, getting, shot down, by Dame and stuff or whatever else. And, but with Jimmy is like, it seemed like he had this opportunity in Philly, and then that shot went in, and then like, all right, now he's in Minnesota. What the fuck? And then he gets himself out of Minnesota and gets him in Miami, and like, the Miami thing is, I think, what people will remember about his career first and foremost. Not even like, they don't even remember like the Chicago stuff. And like, he was on that Chicago team forever. So like for me, I can't hold it against him that like, hey, it's a bad matchup for him for what he does and what makes him special. He was only able to, take advantage of mismatches and crosses or screen offs and that kind of stuff. And he's playing with a bad ankle that he claims he was fine with. I don't buy that, but whatever. So whatever. Like, I never thought he was going to be able to. I never thought he was going to be the best player on a finals team ever. He's done it twice now. So like, I can't hold it against him. And the first finals, he had one of the greatest performances in a single finals game ever. Right? Look, he emptied everything he had in that game and had enough for game 6, but he did it.
No doubt.
He went toe to toe with the all-time LeBron James performance and won that game. I'm never gonna hold it against Jimmy.
And he didn't show up to the press conference in a walking boot. He didn't do none of that shit. So, I ain't got nothing bad to say about Jimmy.
Like sometimes, like you're only but so good, and like if you're able to push past that, then like you should be celebrated for it. Like not everything is be the 1 out of the 30 that wins the title, or we fucking clown you forever. Like I've always hated that kind of like talk, because it's like, all right, so everybody's loser for 15 guys every single year. Okay,
yes, all losers.
Yeah, it's like so like, what's the point of just watch the finals? Don't even watch the playoffs. Don't even watch the regular season. Just watch the finals. They're all losers, right? Except 15 of them.
That's funny. Yeah, man. I guess we should wrap up the NBA talk unless there's anything else. Oh, Wembanyama, 9 days till the draft. Man, if I feel like the broadcast should start, right? And the San Antonio Spurs should immediately run up on stage before Adam Silver even comes out and say, "We want Victor Wembanyama."
Look, knowing how Pop is a troll or whatever else, what did they waste every single second? They say they use up until like the last 5 seconds, and they finally bring him out. They bring out Silver for Wembanyama. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Really
tough decision here. But I wanted to talk about obviously this week we got the debut coming of AEW Collision. I still haven't figured out how that's going to affect this show or anything, but I just wanted to talk about like some of the hype around it or lack thereof.
Okay, that sounds more like it. You're like, hype? What hype?
Yeah, exactly. And I just think like this rollout has been a disaster on like multiple levels. I want to say,
as far as the tickets, you mean?
No, let's take the ticket sales out of it, right? Okay. And because like some of the stuff that I may bring up that may be affecting ticket sales, okay, but it's not necessarily even about the tickets. It's about like, all right, what have they done to position this thing as important? What have they done to push angles for this so far? What have they done to really kind of tell people this was like important or anything? I feel like they're going to try to do a lot of heavy lifting on Wednesday. Like they're probably going to announce like the rest of the card or something like that. But I feel like this is something that already could have been happening. If you knew CM Punk was coming back, you could have been setting up a program. There could have been people cutting promos already on the guy, calling him out, telling me he ain't shit, whatever. But then they had the cross up, of course, of the WBD upfronts thing where CM Punk was supposed to be there. It was his idea to not do it. Like they wanted to try to do this fake leaking of the dirt to the dirt sheets, like rumor of like, yeah, he'll be there. And Before that, like obviously the Chicago news was in the dirt sheets way before Tony Khan announced it. And after he announces it, obviously that means CM Punk, but then they come out an additional week, then they do the CM Punk announcement. It just seems like there was something that was missed somewhere. Obviously, we know the blow up that went on when it came to Punk being in advertising, them taking him out of it, and then I'm not even going to talk about like booking all those Canadian shows with no Canadians and leaving all the Canadians off except Sean Spears, and whether this thing kind of got turned into Collision at the last minute when it wasn't really supposed to be. Like it was supposed to be like a kind of a run of house shows in Canada, possibly. I really don't know what it was supposed to be, but I seem to recall there were a lot of talks about that second show coming and all these dates like kind of being vaguely announced as like, you know, TV taping and all this other stuff. I'm just not feeling the I don't even want to say excitement for it, right? Because I'm not necessarily excited about Collision. That's just not, you know, necessarily for me or whatever. Like how they're rolling it out and all that. But you would think this would be like, I just remember how the way Dynamite was pushed, and I recognize Dynamite's the first show you know, it's the launch of the promotion. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more hype for it, right?
Hell, but the first SmackDown in '99,
right? Like Rampage felt like it got way more than this, like, and it was like they just randomly announced a 6-man tag. There's no angle been set up or anything. Like there's the JY and FTR having some crosswords with each other and stuff like that. But what's CM Punk got to do with this? What's Samoa Joe got to do with this? And I'm sure there will be an attempt to explain that. However, there has not been one thus far. And I'm looking at it like, the comments are just saying if you weren't on the internet, you wouldn't know what Collision is all about. There was
I still don't know what Collision is all about. All I know is like, what do we know that aside from like, okay, this is a show where they're putting the people that like have problems with people on. It appears. That's it. There's nothing else that we know about that show.
Tony kind of mentioned like, you know, there's been different conflicting reports whether this is a hard brand split, whether it's not. Tony Khan's insisted it's not. I think this is kind of a cute code to say CM Punk will still be on Dynamite some weeks, and then whatever, like, you know, because I think it's going to be a struggle. Like I think they may do all right the first week because obviously the novelty of like, you know, let's see their Saturday, whatever. But like this thing could easily turn into another like, you know,
it could turn into Rampage last year.
Yeah, it could easily.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, are you sure?
You want me to go further into this? Yeah,
I'm saying, like, are you like, am I crazy for like thinking this?
No.
Like, I'm like, I'm like, I'm not even looking at it from the point of like the wrestlers that I like are on the other show.
Right.
I'm like, yo, this is like, why would you roll it out like this? Like, this couldn't have been like what was drawn up.
Tony Khan has too much shit going on with pro wrestling. Like, this will... Okay, so he has Dynamite. He has Rampage. When did Darks wrap up?
Darks wrapped up probably about a month and a half ago, at least.
All right, just finished the Darks. Doing house shows. Doing Forbidden Door. Wembley. And now this. He has so much shit going on. And...
Did you mention ROH?
Yeah, I think the second thing I mentioned.
Okay.
If I didn't forgive me. But yeah, like Ring of Honor as well. And like the things I've heard about Ring of Honor of late is like, oh, that's just already like unessential viewing already. Well, this looks like it's like coming in as unessential viewing after the first show. I think that the booking philosophy has changed, just generally speaking, from what what Dynamite was, and what All Elite Wrestling was in the first couple years. I would really like for them to bring back the keeping count of the wins and loss records and the schedules and the standings or whatever else. I would really like for that to be back. Cause it kept them honest as far as like, there might be somebody out here that like, you know, got all his wins on dark or whatever else, but at least they're presented to where like you can see that that's why they did that and whatever else. Now it's a lot of the, oh, this person won, but how did they win? Oh yeah, that's right. Someone came out here and did X, Y, and Z before the finish and stuff. And it's like, it's hurt them. Right. So like, we'll get to Dynamite in a second, but like, I'm looking at the opening match in Dynamite for the international title. And, you know, like, oh, so Swerve lost here. They're continuing the feud because they immediately stomped him out after. Cool. So wins, losses don't matter. Even in a title match. There's a lot of this shit coming on in AEW. And it's been going on for a lot of this year. But now it's like, for me, it feels like I watch and like, I don't care about anything outside of the Elite. And like, as far as, besides some of the build-up action, like as far as like people I care about in their storylines and what's going forward with them, I only care about what's going on with the Blackpool Combat Club, the Elite, and I think that's it right now. Not to say that nothing can change, that something can get hot again or whatever else, but like, you know, most times I'm into MJF and whatever he's got going on, aside from like this pillar singing late, but like, that's kind of what it's been. And you're moving to another show. Obviously CM Punk will make something work. But I have concerns about like who else is supposed to be on the show and who's in like what storylines they're supposed to be carrying through. Like, you know, like you got Matt Hardy and Ethan Page, the Hardys and Ethan Page and Isaiah Cassidy, and they're doing the guy is forced to be a teammate. You got whatever's going on with the Outcasts and Britt and Tony that's put on hold or put on into whatever it is because of the injury or whatever. The tag titles seem to be just hanging out. The trios titles seem to just be hanging out. Wardlow's still feuding with Christian and Luchasaurus, and now it will be Lars Anderson. Not Lars. Is it Lars Anderson? Brock Anderson. Brock Anderson or Lars. It's Cole and MJF. I'm into that, right? I like that opening promo, but like it just feels like they're a cold, top to bottom, a cold promotion right now. Like they got two hot things going for them right now, and one of them just started this week. Things can change. Punk can come in, and Punk and Joe can cut their promos and get it hot or whatever else, and they can figure out whatever they want to do with Jay White. Sure. But there's just something going on where it's like they're more concerned with trying to push people to the middle than they are trying to make new stars like at the top, or try to like put people that are in the middle together and one person wins and one person loses and one person cycles up and one person cycles down. There's not that. It seems like everything's just, they're putting everything in the middle right now, and that kind of stinks.
Yeah. And looking at it, like, I don't know where I'm thinking about like Saturdays, and obviously they're going to be faced with immense competition throughout the year, whether it's the summertime, whether it's football season, whether it's college football season and everything like that.
Yep.
Like this is going to be the true test of this company. Like we talked about the real tests and everything like that. I think, as Sam is mentioning, the Elite and BCC they're wrapped up in this team combat, but they're not really even doing that. Like how many singles matches are we really getting out of this so far? Like it seems like it's been very slow moving and things of that nature. And, when that many guys are wrapped up and they're not breaking it up, there's not like that next area like of the card is like it's a mystery. Like it's like,
I mean, Yeah, just fundamentally speaking, you think of Moxley, Danielson, Claudio, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Hangman, and they're all being lumped into one feud or one program right now. That is why the shows top to bottom are suffering from like a feeling of lack of star power or lack of top guys, because so many of the top guys are actually consolidated into one program and one program only. That's absolutely true.
Claudio hasn't wrestled any of them, like in singles. You know, we could at least get Kenny Omega and Wheeler Yuta singles, you have them pin Kenny at the pay-per-view. They could book that as a, singles match the following but, Kenny's off, whatever. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of questions, and Collision coming.
Frankie makes a good point. JSA ain't doing nothing. And I quite frankly think that JSA is about to get dismantled. Like, the way that Jericho has lost so much this year, it makes you feel like he's about to turn babyface again, because why else would he be losing so much?
Yeah, I think there's something with him and Sammy. When people lose like that, it has to be for a reason. I think there's something with him and Sammy about to happen. They're advertising a Sammy Guevara returns for tomorrow. So a lot of people are speculating this is like, going to be the feud that we've been calling for, but we'll see if they do it or not. And let's see where we're at. I am going to pull up, since, we're a day late on this. I did put out the call for questions and all that, but
okay.
The whole thing with the Collision thing was just kind of on my mind, and I was like, huh. Like, I'm just seeing, and I'm seeing like these, everyone else getting booked on Saturdays elsewhere, and
yep,
man, there's some agendas at play if you want to find them.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, we need you for nah, man. I'm already. My bad. I ain't know. I had no idea. I didn't know this was coming. Sure.
Okay, first one comes from our boy Keem. Keem says, who do you have for the G1 and who's in the finals? Man.
Okay, so the blocks got released over the last week, right?
They did.
All right, hold on, let me pull it up and I'll go through them real quick.
The G1 blocks. 4-block tournament, of course. Just like last year, but an additional match. Make sure you guys listen to Keepin It Strong Style this week. They did interview Robbie Eagles, who happened to be a fan of the theme song by yours truly.
All right, so I have it. So Block A, and I like Block A because it's a bunch of young guys. Sonata, Chase Owens, Hikuleo, Ren Narita, Shota Umino, Yota Tsuji, Gabriel Kidd, and Kaito Kiyomiya. So, like, I haven't looked at the schedule for it yet or whatever else, but like, you could obviously Sonata having a chance in the finals because he's obviously champion. Kaito because he is a future ace contender in a different promotion and has a few ongoing with Okada. But like, you're going to get to see like Ren, Shota, and Tsuji all together, and you're going to see like the pecking order kind of how it starts out at the beginning, how they wanted to play out. So I find that to be interesting. And I actually like that block, and there's a block in here that I thought was abysmal. But B block, Okada, Yoshihashi, Taichi, Kenta, Okan, Ospreay, Tangaloa, and Phantasmo. I like this block, obviously, because, you have strong wrestlers like Taichi and Okada and Ospreay, and El Phantasmo. But, like, this could be a make or break year for Okan, because a lot of people like what he did in his first year, 2 years ago, and then last year I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I was not impressed.
And also those
lost a lot.
All the people were coming back to the promotion after him, so it's like, all right, don't get passed by,
right? And I mean, that Yota Tsuji title challenge. I think it's going to happen. And they put him in LIJ. You already know what's going to happen. Yeah. Yota Tsuji finna come out here and sell all that. Look, the Gene Blaster finna be selling all that merch. But C Block and so man, C Block, Finley, Ishii, Evil, Tamatonga, Shingo, Hanare, Kingston, Mikey Nichols. Like, I don't think of New Japan when I think of this block, because like, and it's unfair because Finley's been there forever. But like, I think like I'm looking at Finley and I see Kingston and Nichols, and I'm like, this feels like the strong block, right? And then the D block. This is another block that I thought this was the block that I liked the most, as far as like get the consistency from top to bottom of like the old guard of New Japan of the last like half decade, if you will. Tanahashi, Naito, Goto, Saber, Yano, unfortunately, Jeff Cobb, Shane Hayes, and Alex Coughlin. Now, like, this block, like, with Tanahashi and Naito and Goto and Saber is like, the block, that was like a core of the block from last year. I think it was the core of C block last year. So, there's gonna be a lot of continuity with all that. Like, there's only one block I'm not really in love with, in that C block, but like, I think, depending, like, if the young guys, Tsuji, Shota, and Renarita bring it, and they all deliver, like, A block's going to be great. But
there's a couple shitters hanging around each block, I'd say.
Yeah.
They could stand to have, like, chopped 4 guys off of this thing, probably. It does, seeing Okada and Ospreay in the same block is interesting. Knowing that one of them are not going to the block finals.
I haven't seen the schedule yet. Do you know what the schedule is as far as like what's the final night?
I think it's different this year. I think it's different this year because it's all like fucked up with the 4 blocks. But I would assume they're facing each other last.
Last year it was 2 matches from each block was basically like night, the first night of the 3 nights in Budokan.
Yeah. It feels like Will Ospreay should be winning this entire G1, but I don't think he's going to win it.
Especially when you have Okada especially when you have Okada in the round with him.
Yeah, I think we should be on alert for Kaito Kiyomiya winning and beating Okada, and going to the G1 final. I'm going to make a bold prediction, and I actually don't even think it's all that bold. They've been building this thing up all year. Obviously, they lost to Okada before, lost to him several times. Like, they've done a lot of big angles. I think Kaito is going to get the W, go to the G1 finals, and lose to Tetsuya Naito.
Yep, I think Naito's winning it this year because like, you're thinking about like, all right, last year he could have won, he didn't. And then you think, all right, well, if he doesn't win, he can never win it again. Because you look at, like, the A block, and you think, like, all right, that's the future of this promotion. Like, those guys will be in the hunt seriously over the next, few years. And it's like, all right, Sonata's a champion. I don't think there's anybody approaching him that's going to like take the belt off him post G1.
Doesn't feel like it,
right? Especially once he's in that block, it's like, all right, unless you have Tsuji beat him in the second match and then beat him again, like power struggle or some shit. I don't see that happening though.
Sonata makes a block final and loses to the B person.
Okay. But is A facing B this year? I don't know. Right. I don't know. So for me, like, if you're going to really do this with Sonata, and you've done it for real, and he's done well in his main event matches, title defenses, whatever else, like, take it all the way to the Dome. And if you're going to put Sonata in the Dome, you have to put him in there with Naito to draw. And then you have Naito beat him, Sonata beat him in the New Japan Cup. So have Naito get his win back, because Naito's the bigger star, obviously. Am I wrong here? Like, and then like when you do that, because then once you do that, it's like, all right, like he beat Muto in the Tokyo Dome, right? The long form story for Naito this year is like getting back to Sonata. He lost in the semifinal last year in a great match. Like, he was great last year. I thought he was going to win until he didn't. And you could dangle a carrot in front of him and say, hey, this your last shot. Go out there and be great like you were last year. And then go out there and be great, win it and everything, win the dome. And then, then he'll face, probably either Ospreay or Omega. I'm sorry. Yeah. Either Ospreay or Okada or whatever else. And that's probably who he drops it off to.
Or one of those youths.
Could be. Yeah, definitely could be. Hopefully it's not Shota, because he doesn't want to do anything with Shota, apparently. We saw that at the beginning of the year. Yeah. Jesus.
Question from Frank Leone. If Squared Circle subreddit goes dark, where's the new place for wrestling news? Brother, Squared Circle is not a place that I have inhabited in years.
I don't use Reddit.
I think it's a complete trash fire, and its closure has been a benefit to the community. The only bad part is those people may seep onto Twitter, but hopefully they retreat into their discords and are never, and I mean ever, to be heard from again.
So I see Zach and he says, Kaito, Naito, be still my beating heart. Who does he root for in this situation? I know who I'll be rooting for, but who will he be rooting for?
I think he'll root for Noah at the end of the day.
That's a good bet. That's a good one. Because it's like, Naito's already gotten his big win over Okada. He won't be getting too many more of those. And ultimately, this comes down to a hatred of Okada. So it's like Naito or Kaito Kiyomiya has a good chance of actually finally getting the big win over Okada. So like, I think he'll be going with him. Yeah. Yeah. He says right here. Yeah, Kaito. He knows.
Look, I know.
He already his mind's done it. Like he knows. Like he knows Naito ain't never been that man again. He knows that. He's like, okay, so we'll pick somebody that actually will get a win.
Yeah, I think Dr. Larry brings up something I think a lot of people were talking about. Be on the lookout for Kaito Kiyomiya getting recruited here.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about this a couple days ago, right? We were like, yo, bro, he needs a transfer. Like, a transfer must be on deck for all this to be happening.
Yeah, there's something going on.
Yeah.
Like the same thing that's going on with
Jake Lee over here. Keep his ass over there with that belt.
Same thing that's going on with Will Ospreay at AEW. I think Kaito Kiyomiya in New Japan, it's going to be pretty similar. But let's see what else we got.
When it happens, it's going to be amazing. Because, like, he going to be so over. And, like, all the people that are talking all that shit about, Kaito and Noah and like, the level of whatever he could be or whatever, I was like, bro, cool. Have you watched him wrestle in top matches? That dude's fucking awesome. Like, I don't care what you're saying and none of that stuff. Like, he is stuck in Noah in a bad period with bad booking and whatever else. Put that guy in New Japan or put Takeshita in New Japan and see what the fuck happens. And, like, we're about to see, like, he's in there with a bunch of guys that are, maybe a little bit younger than him, but, like, it's a bunch of guys under 30. And
it's going to be real competitive.
Yes, it will be. I really enjoyed having that young block. And then I also like the part where they put Sonata in there because, like, they couldn't hide Sonata. Put Sonata in there in that D block with, like, Sabre and Naito and Tanahashi. And it'd be like, they fuck around and have him go like 1 and 2 against them 3 or some shit like that. So yeah, I think that's the right decision. Like, put a champion over the young dudes and he can, like, have a good record, ultimately not win at the end.
And also, they're saving a lot of stuff too, and you kind of avoid blowing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So you can't be blowing that Sonata Evil match.
Oh yeah, gotta have that. For the Japanese fans, just
they're never doing
love that.
Fucking around.
They'll love that.
They're never doing that.
Oh, so my man Rambone Slam Pig, shout out to him. He he submitted 3 questions, so he's doing real work on a light week. So. He says, thoughts on all the rumors and innuendo about the return of CM Punk and Ace Steel. Do you believe there's a chance that Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks could decide not to re-sign with AEW given the apparently unresolved issues there?
I think that they will reach a point to where they negotiate as if they actually will consider leaving. I don't think they're actually really considering leaving. I think they're playing the game. You don't create that kind of space for yourself and position for yourself to then pack up and take it to the E, and then be at the whims and follies of Vince McMahon and Triple H and Paul Heyman. That sounds so stupid.
It would be
and also they have they have somebody like firsthand like dealing with that right now, about to go to Money in the Bank to face Dominic Mysterio. So yeah.
Oh, I take it you haven't seen the people defending that. So
what is there to defend?
The hottest babyface against the hottest heel and all this other stuff. So
I'm sorry, I thought the hottest heel was Roman Reigns.
It's funny how they removed that completely from the scenario here.
The top guy in the industry, not doesn't count. He's exempt somehow.
Right.
What the fuck?
Apparently, like the hottest heel, you got to add in them hitting the button, I guess, for that. So I don't know, man. But is there a chance? Sure, there's a chance. I think they could not re-sign. Depending on if there's like any legal shit going on with like if people can't be in the same building and it just like
a restraining order.
Yeah, and it just like descends to like really, really bad levels, which I don't know if you can necessarily count that out because of look at the fucking carnage from last year. But it would be really shocking, I would say. So do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't think they're doing like, they're doing like the little stuff on Being the Elite right now. I don't think they do that and then pack up. Like, right. So it would be, I think, handled with a lot more. I don't even like, how Cody wrote that long ass letter and shit like on Twitter and released it like as like kind of like a special, with his logo and everything like that. Bro,
the one where he called Kenny Omega Kenneth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, I don't think they would go on BT and fuck around like that and then like actually dip. It would be like, I think, handled in an actual serious manner. Like, and then announce they're shutting all that shit down and then whatever. Mm-hmm. But as far as Ace Steel, I don't know what the guy does. I don't know the use for him aside from, he makes CM Punk feel comfortable. And, maybe you need that to make CM Punk not go off the rails. But it's not like that actually worked before. So who knows?
I have heard that he was actually of value before the stupid shit happened last summer. So if they're able to overlook it, sure. It's not like the TV has gotten better since CM Punk has left. But, yeah. So I'm, as far as the storyline driven stuff. But, yeah, I don't really consider, like, I in my mind, I'm just like you. There's a punch chance they leave, but I still think they're mostly staying because, like, if they go over there, obviously it's a boatload of money it can get, but like outside of that, I really don't see the incentive for them to want to go over there. They're not going to let them have the matches they want to have. Not going to let them, be able to wrestle people they want to wrestle for a long period of time and sustain programs. And like they're not going to have the ability to create and craft these stories that go from around those 4 guys or 5 guys if Cody, because they would be in WWE with Cody, like in the way that like they've been able to do in AEW. So I don't really see it because WWE operates like they operate almost like a comic book, like a comic book company where it's like, okay, we have this particular year, we're going to have this writer make this for 3 months, make a Cody versus, or 5 months, whatever, make Cody versus Brock the comic book, and it comes out. But there's no crossover between all this other stuff that really happens. It's just, that's the comic book. And then, like, once we're done with that run, we'll move on to the next Cody versus blah, 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 blah. But, like, in the meantime, between time, there's not much interaction of treating like it's actual universe, and, like, there's people that will step in and step over each other at times. Like, don't get me wrong, like Cody will have matches with people that aren't Brock Lesnar at the time being, but like those matches just to get them on screen. It's not actually to like further anything with these people or anything. They're just like almost like tie-ins of an event off to the side. I don't know if you know what a tie-in. Tie-in is basically like this huge storyline and like the ancillary stuff of being like, why does this person end up here all of a sudden out of nowhere? Oh, it's in this book here over in this bin.
Mm-hmm.
That explains that. That's what a tie-in is. Like, there's not much of that stuff. In AEW, there is. There's always spillover of somebody has loose affiliation with somebody else, and when somebody fights somebody, that person might show up and fight this next person. That happens a lot in AEW. So, a lot of the stuff that the Elite have been really good at in AEW basically immediately goes out the window once they end up in WWE. And I think, like, if you're someone like Hangman and you built yourself to be that kind of thoughtful babyface, I never go to WWE because Vince is going to see that as weakness and you're being a cuck, or not a cuck, but like a beta male or whatever else. And he's nah, not for me. That's not what I want my good guys to be. You know, a Cody, a Cena.
Yeah. Rambones asked a G1 question. Are there any matchups we're especially looking forward to? I'll just go with Okada and Ospreay for sure. Eddie and Shingo will probably be high on the list. I think it's someone should be locked in the federal penitentiary for not putting Eddie Kingston and Taichi in the same block. Aside from that, it's the A block. Like, it's just seeing like Yota Tsuji and ELP and Will Ospreay will probably be great too. Yeah,
it was really good last year too. So just going through the blocks, like D block, me looking at it, like Naito and Sabre last year was really good because Naito beat Sabre on a sneak last year, and Sabre was fucking furious, and then Naito was trolling him at the end. So I want to see another chapter of that. Shingo and Ishii. That's always something that's going to be on my list. As you mentioned, Shingo and Kingston, they've already done it. I want to see them do it again. Like you mentioned, Okada, Ospreay, ELP, I'm good with any of that. Like, I want to see how the Tamatanga, I'm sorry, that's Tangaloa, never mind. Skip.
How does Eddie Kingston deal with the House of Torture? My God.
Man, that's, Yota Tsuji versus Kaito Kiyomiya, sign me up, man. Sign me up. I'm into it.
Rambone says we're about halfway through the year. What are your picks for match of the year so far?
Ooh, per promotion or just in general?
Let's do that. Let's go by promotion.
All right, which one do you want to start with?
I will go with. I want to mention this match before I mention any other match. But Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay.
That's my New Japan match of the year. There's nothing in the same stratosphere, and I've liked a lot of stuff like Hiromu's done. I've liked, some of the stuff, the few things I've saw at the New Japan Cup, but like that's it for me.
I think for my AEW match of the year, I'm going Jon Moxley and Hangman Page in the Texas Death.
Right. That was the same weekend, or it was like first week of the year, right?
That was the Revolution
pay-per-view. That's right. I like that match the most in AEW this year, but I think the match that most people think is the best match in AEW this year is the Iron Man match between Danielson and MJF. And like, I necessarily wouldn't disagree. It's just like open to 20 minutes. I'm never gonna sit through that whole thing and be able to stomach the first 20 minutes before that. But like after that, it was incredible. So I would say those would be the top two for me. Where else are we going? WWE?
WWE.
The triple threat match between Walter and McIntyre and Sheamus for me at WrestleMania Night 1.
Same. I'll also, and then Stardom.
Oh, the Tam the Julia and Tam Red Belt match from All-Star Grand Queendom. I think that's the best match they've had in Stardom this year by a not significant, but I think it's the one that's separated itself. I think the other match that will be up for discussion will probably be like maybe Kamatani and Mina.
I think Kamatani and Mina for sure.
I think the win puts it to that level, but like that match isn't better than like Hazuki and Kamatani from like the defense before that, like that.
Oh yeah, Hazuki and Kamatani was fucking great.
That shit.
That might be mine.
Yeah, Kamatani and Hazuki just. It's like, oh, Hazuki, yeah, she's never gonna win a red or white belt. Cool. She's so fucking good. Yeah. So for me, yeah. So yeah, but the number one for me with just a clear one is just that one right now. But like, similar with Tam and Julia, it's always like, oh yeah, that's the best match of the year so far, and then something comes and beats it in December. or like whatever Shuri has cooking up, she'll come and beat it eventually. So let's see whatever Shuri has cooking up.
Black Saber Jr. as always. Hope y'all in the Social Suplex crew are doing well. Between Ospreay, Kenny, and Sue, and Okada, Danielson, which match do you think will be match of the night?
I'm gonna have to say Ospreay and Omega because they had the best match of the year by a significant margin to me, in my opinion, and I think they were also holding back while doing it. So I think whatever they have in store
I kind of forgot about that. That holding back element. They definitely were.
I mean, because it's the same thing with like Ibushi and Omega, where it's like, okay, yeah, they'll have another match that's going to be better than this because clearly they were holding back. Yeah. So I think it'll be that one. But don't get me wrong, like I think it'll be a matter of taste. Like I think that as I said, like the reason why I love the match from Wrestle Kingdom so much is that like it was not what I was expecting. It was a lot more brutal, and that match was like fought and wrestled like it was like the third, like the blow off, as opposed to the first match where I thought I was gonna get all this athleticism and quick twitch stuff, and they said no, we're gonna go out here and brutalize each other and make it seem like we absolutely hate each other's guts, like it's a blood feud, and like you can't once you start with that. You can't then switch to the other one. It has to go progressively from the first one to the next one. So like, they're gonna do some damage to each other, and I think like compared to like that is gonna have a certain flavor to it, and the Danielson and Okada will have the more exhibitionist type of feel to it, and so like for who's into the story, who's not into the story, for people's taste, whatever else, people will have whichever one that they choose, but like I think a lot of people are gonna gravitate more towards the Okada Ospreay stuff based off what they've already done and what you think will be the escalation of going the next step further.
Yeah, I think Ospreay and Kenny already have like the advantage of having been in the ring with each other, and basically knowing how far they really want to take it with each other. I feel like a lot of like times where there's a Kenny match and then there's an Okada match. I feel like Kenny's got the better of them, quite frankly, because like, maybe the opponent might not necessarily be like we just saw earlier this year, like, Jay White against Okada, and then that was right behind, Will and Kenny. So like, I think Danielson's like obviously the best person that's ever wrestled Okada in this type of situation where it's like, yeah, there's a Kenny match like also on the card that you got to compete with. So this is a toss up really, because like, I think both sets of guys are going to have a lot to fucking prove.
Yeah.
And this is literally like, you remember that one time,
there's also this part where it's like, Ospreay has a chance to, and this every time he's in AEW, he has a chance to make a name for himself beyond just being like the previous match in the trio stuff he was doing, or Orange Case, where it's like he's coming in, he's going to show his incredible talent, but like now it's actually like he's going to do the promo stuff. They're going to bring back the stuff he did, and how much they dislike each other, and I think it's going to make him more compelling to the average wrestling fan that may think he's awesome and all the stuff they may or may not like that he's done, but then like think of him in a different light, as opposed to Okada, where it's like Okada comes through the door. And you've heard the name, you heard the reputation, you may have seen the matches, and like the matches are the matches, and his matches are without dispute. No one's going to ever, like, unless you're a fucking moron, you're never going to be like, nah, I'll give it this Okada guy. He's the most traditional, like, great wrestler we've seen in a long time, right? Like, he's a wrestler's wrestler.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot more risk taking in Kenny versus Ospreay.
Yep.
Just in that front of that crowd, like it's gonna be hard to beat Kenny Omega in Toronto,
right?
In the type of reception he's probably going to get. So I think I'm going to pick Kenny and Ospreay, but like reluctantly, like, because like they could easily, like, Okada and Danielson can easily come out here and drop 90.
I think the Omega match main events though.
Yeah, I would put that on last personally, but also Black Saber Jr. says rank these championship reigns. Mayu's second belt reign red belt reign in 2020, Utami's red belt reign, and Tall Saya's white belt reign.
Okay, so this is hard because I think if you were just going to just defenses alone, you probably go with Utami. If you're going to the year the individual wrestlers had, as far as like the tally of the years, I would go with Mayu because I think Mayu had more great matches than literally anyone in 2020. Like, she was incredible. But
he's Frankie.
But you know how it is, like, people don't remember all that kind of stuff, right? Like doing all the house shows and stuff, and not everybody watches Stardom house shows and sees, you know, someone, or watching the Grand Prix back before the Grand Prix was like a big deal to see someone, like, you know, average 4 stars in a whole entire tournament. But yeah, it depends on your taste. Like for my viewing, you know, where I'm like a person that watches everything, it was Mayu. Just every single night she was going out there and going nuts and having quality matches left and right. Where, you know, Utami, she paces herself and she's not that dynamic in tags. And Kamatani, I think she's, I have to look back at it, but like, you know, like I think her worst title defense is maybe like 3.5 against Saki. Right?
Yeah, this is really a tough question.
Yeah,
like, honestly.
It's really tough. And also, you know, like, I just think that, based off of the level of the wrestlers, like, because the wrestlers have gotten so much better year over year over year, whereas, like, what Mayu was doing in 2020 was, like, the average age of the roster is 25. Kamatani is 20, catches the roster when it's 27. Utami catches the roster when it's 26. Utami, when she first got the belt, we didn't know if she was ready for it, and then she quickly proved by after, like, the first 2 defenses, like, nah, you ain't got no worry about. Kamatani, she won the belt, and it was like, after that match, it was like, she's gonna do well with it. How well, we had no idea it was gonna be this, but like, I had less concerns about Kamatani with a color belt than Utami at the time. So yeah, it's interesting to think about. It's more competitive. It really comes down to taste now, but that's actually a good question. But I'll probably go with Mayu.
I think I'll go with Utami. Just the title wins, like the attention that she kind of drew, like outside of Stardom, bringing people to Stardom, I would say, to check out these huge matches she was having with Shuri, the way she like lost the belt, and that was just like, I fucking miss seeing Utami like getting the big push. So I'll go with Utami.
Yeah.
Brandon Candia says, who do you think will / do you want to join Takeshita and Don Callis' group?
Ooh, I never really thought about it.
Same.
Who's available?
Yeah, because I think that's your major issue is like a lot of people are tied up, and then it's like, I feel like if you're going to be involved in this angle, you kind of have to be raw, like as fuck. Like, so.
And it kind of has to be like, it has to either be somebody that's like that if they ended up with okay, so the best answer right now, off the top of my head, would be like if you put Kota Ibushi with him. But I don't think that's how they're going to start this thing out. I think he's going to come in and be, that's, Sam just said Aussie Open. That's a good one, but like, but the Aussie Open thing only makes sense if you're going to put, but the Aussie Open thing only makes sense if you're going to put Ospreay or the Empire with Don Callis.
Yeah. And I don't think
that would be a great answer, but I don't know if they're going. I don't know if and when that's ever going to happen.
Like, and it's like being in two groups at once across companies is kind of strange.
And also, if they were to do it, like, they couldn't pull the trigger for a long time because, like, after Forbidden Door, like, Ospreay is taking his ass back to Japan to work a 2-month round robin.
Right. Man, looking at it, like, if I was to take somebody and just yank them out of what they were in and put them in, I would take Keith Lee and put him with Callis and Takeshita. And
well, he ain't doing shit, so why not?
Yeah. Who else is around there? Roger Strong's around. Maybe take him. Anyone else I'm looking at?
I got one. The JSA.
Jericho Appreciation
Put
Society.
Jericho and Callis together and say, look.
You could.
Look, we both Canadians. We both old. And we both don't fuck with Kenny Omega.
You could do that. Trying to think. Anyone else? That's who I got. Unless,
T-shirt
that's who I got.
To be a sports entertainer,
Yeah,
You saw that man show up in all black this week,
bro. Hilarious, absolutely hilarious. We should probably get into that. So AEW Dynamite. We'll take you through this here review. Try to fly through this, biatch, because obviously we got the show coming up tomorrow. Big card. Orange Cassidy and Swerve opened up this show. And there was a match for the AEW International title. With his 24th defense, Orange Cassidy survives again. I was very into this match. I was watching it. I saw the finish. I thought it was a great match. The crowd was going crazy for these guys. It just kept building and escalating with all the different false finishes they did. Part of me did say once Orange Cassidy won, I was like, "Damn, it's 24 defenses not enough. Like what else we got to prove at this point?" But there's other things in motion, I gather. So Orange survives again. I thought I liked Swerve's new gear. I hadn't seen that one before, unless I missed like a tag match he had or something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, these two like work together like really well. It seemed like that preview from the Battle Royal kind of like rubbed off here again, and it's just like I remember you mentioning about thinking they trust Swerve a lot, and it's just like I can't think of like someone you could put Swerve in there with and it wouldn't like be good. Like, and seeing how like, he worked with Orange Cassidy, it was like, I think a lot of people like this shit pissed people off. Like, because I think a lot of people were priming themselves for Swerve to win this belt. And do I think they could have done that? I would have gone for it. Yeah.
But like I said, when it came to the middling of the booking stuff, where so many people are getting slided towards the middle, like they did that finish where they had both emptied the gun on everybody except for if Swerve were able to hit the JML driver, and Orange Cassidy turned the JML driver at the very end into a victory roll for a pin, and he got the pin the last second, and it was a flukish looking pin because Swerve made the face. The shock, I got pinned face, and then like Embassy comes down and puts boots to Orange Cassidy, and then Darby and Sting make the save, and it was like, oh, so this isn't over. That's clear with his detail. Like, we gave him the fluke, we gave Swerve the loss, but he didn't get finished. They put the boots to him, so the babyface didn't get anything, didn't really win, and then they're gonna continue on, and like in the rematch, Swerve will win. That seems what it's gonna be to me. Yeah,
I don't know if they're going that way, but but everyone's like getting back involved. That's kind of been hanging around the whole scene for months. Like they announced like this 4-on-4 match with the Embassy or Mogul Embassy, Keith Lee, Dustin Rhodes, Darby, and I believe Orange Cassidy. I think it's Dustin in there, if I'm not mistaken. But
okay.
If you guys can check that for me, I would appreciate it. But they're going to do a 4-on-4 match next week, and we will see. Oh, Sting's in that shit, not Dustin. Sorry,
okay.
Wrong WCW guy. But I guess I'll get a small part of one of my wishes to see Swerve lock it up with Sting. in some form. So that'll be interesting to see. But we got a video package with Jay White and Ricky Starks that was ahead of their match. They were going to be the main event. We had Bryan Danielson come out on commentary, and before that, we get a video package of Kazuchika Okada looking glorious, I might add, in that thing. A lot of gold everywhere. Word to Trinidad James. Just basically explaining who this man is for any person who doesn't.
They played the video packages so people could shut the fuck up. That's all. Like, they played the video package for Omega and Ospreay, and later in the show they did the video package for Danielson and Okada here, so that people can't say, what about the video package? Put a video package the first, like, days after we announced it for the first time. Shut the fuck up. You never have to say it again. If you put it up there, we gonna repost it on your dumb ass.
Yeah. So that led into Danielson coming out, talking some shit on commentary as he's doing commentary for the Blackpool Combat Club, taking on the chaos of Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, and Rocky Romero. All action in this.
What was that about? What was that like inflection when you said chaos?
Chaos.
Why you put quotation marks around it? That's Chaos West.
Basically Rocky's just coming over, and subbing in.
That's Chaos West.
Yeah. So they basically like have they have a pretty like really good 6-man match here. Danielson's on commentary talking a bunch of shit like throughout it.
Calling Chuck Taylor idiot for not going for pins. I was like, oh no, it's Jim Ross. What? How did he just body snatch Danielson like this?
And then there was like a lot of like stuff like Okada sent these guys, all this saying all this stuff Okada did. Okada like somewhere fishing. You don't give a fuck about this. But a lot of a lot of back and forth. I would say go out of your way to check this out.
So one thing I want to bring out in particular. So there was a near fall attempt that Yuta had on, I think it was Trent. I can't remember who it was. No, it wasn't Trent. It was Chuck Taylor, I want to say. And as it's happening in the ring, Claudio's on the floor, and Trent went for a second turnbuckle moonsault to the floor. Claudio positioned himself and uppercutted this man on the way down, and I had to fucking replay because I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, what? Wait, what? Look, man, they need to be never trios champions. Claudio, Moxley, and Yuta, they need to be the trios champ, the never trios champions.
Did you happen to catch the match? Did you happen to catch that match?
No, not yet.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. I heard that too. But I'm just saying, like, if this is what they're going to be doing, Moxie's always, like, anytime he's been in an AEW match in tags, it's been fucking great. But it's like, now it's trios, and Claudio just still, Claudio's so good as a fucking goon heel. Yeah, man, like, either they need to be the never trios champions, or they need to be the fucking trios champions at AEW. You pick one, but one of them needed to have them 3 belts in a set.
Oh man, we gotta turn the lights on for the House of Black and shit, or turn the lights off.
I need to see Claudio big swing Brody.
So that was like a preview. So next week is gonna be the BCC versus the Hung Bucks. So the Hung Bucks caught
another great match.
Yeah. I like how this is gonna be the week of 6-man tags in this company. Apparently, I feel like a competition.
I didn't even think about that.
A competitive message is being sent from somewhere.
Technically speaking, Saturday is the last day of the week, so it's actually not the same week. It's not the same. It's not the same.
I feel like, if you were to walk into a casino and be like, can we bet on the star ratings for these 2 matches? I feel like, the Wednesday, like I feel like there would be some favorites going on here. But the Humbucks basically...
look, to be fair, one side has Nick Jackson, Matt Jackson, and Adam Page. The other side has Samoa Joe in 2023 and Juice Robinson. This ain't exactly an even contest. Would you not agree?
They chose.
I like how you didn't answer the question.
They chose. But Heyman takes a swipe. He's like, a great match. Heard it, didn't see it, or anything like that. It's kind of like an old wrestler adage or whatever. But they basically, they issued a challenge, and Danielson accepts immediately. Says we're not cowards, essentially. Then we get the aforementioned Kenny Omega and Will video package highlighting their match from Wrestle Kingdom, and it's amazing that it took this long for this to be shown on this program. For months and months and months, it was never talked about, mentioned, nothing. All right. But Will definitely wants his revenge. He's, basically what Kenny put him through. And the match is official. It's happening at Forbidden Door. MJF and Adam Cole then have their segment. So MJF kind of came out and started cutting a promo, and this was a long segment. Shitting on Denver. Yeah. And basically talks about there's no one on the level of the devil and all that other stuff. And then all of a sudden Adam Cole's music hits, and I was like, all right, it's here. Let's see it. Gotta say, by the end of the segment, I liked it a lot.
This is very good. It has a lot of similarities to the Ricky Starks one from earlier this year, but if that's his template, fine, because it's everybody gets to say what they want to say. He gets his lines in at the end. The person kicks his ass at the end verbally. It works. The heel gets his comeuppance. It's always fun when the heel gets his comeuppance. Write that down, Triple H. Write that down, Mr. Man.
But basically, MJF said, finally some competition. He was a fan of Adam Cole. Once CM Punk left him as a kid, he turned the channel to Ring of Honor, which he thought sucked. But he was hooked on Adam Cole's work. He mentioned Cole's time in CZW, traveling to Indies, going to Florida to shock the system as Shawn Michaels' his hand-picked guy, which is undisputed. He said MJF then said he followed in Cole's footsteps, going to CZW, becoming a top name on the Indies, signing with AEW, and he knew he was destined one day to feud with Adam Cole, but he was disappointed because he used to be the Panama Playboy, but now he's the Panama Game Boy, and he's more preoccupied with playing video games, and his balls are in Britt Baker's purse every time she leaves the home. MJF said Cole is so frail that he makes crack whores jealous. MJF said the fans might think you're not utilized properly in AEW, but AEW's done everything they could to make Cole over, and they gave him the reality show, but he basically flips his Karrion Kross line. Said all they do for MJF is ring the bell. Adam Cole's or MJF then talks about having the best dog collar match to Iron Man, 4-way in history. And MJF said he heard a rumor that a certain individual in Titan Towers didn't think Cole could make it, and his name is Vince McMahon.
Which got oohs and ahs because if Vince McMahon's name was said on AEW,
yep,
it's more MJF trafficking than that bullshit.
MJF said he's a big fan of Vince McMahon, something I would not be saying on national television at all.
Yeah.
MJF thought the old man lost his marbles, but standing in the ring with Cole, he's right. He said, what happened to your body? You don't even go to the gym, and a bunch of stuff like that. Cole then, kind of takes a breath and was asked him if that was the best he got. And I was seeing all this. I was like, man, this boy MJF don't take no days off from the internet. He brought up he said the Keith Lee's manager thing. Yep. He's just every bit of tiring discourse around around Adam Cole that has existed for about a year and a half. Yep. It was all here.
Yep.
Cole basically questions MJF's fascination with other people's relationships. Says, is that why your fiance left you? So he's going to have to keep wearing that one. Cole said that MJF is a world-class douchebag. Fans chanted coward. Cole got him to chant coward at him. He said MJF can't touch him, and you talk about my body, but let's go backstage and we can see who can pass a test after we piss in a cup.
Which is hilarious because ain't no way they're actually drug testing AEW because look at the people that are walking around. Some of them.
I saw that part and I was like, ooh, I think Cole cut the Russian there. I think that was where it flipped. I was like, damn, he's just fucking brutalizing Cole. And then this was like, oh, okay. We're in business. Cole swears on his life that no one backstage respects MJF. Everybody thinks he's selfish, blah, blah, blah. Does a bare minimum to get where he's at. MJF said he's going to cry into his money. That's tough talk coming from Keith Lee's manager. That's typical. Cole said that's typical MJF, creating a false narrative, calling him a coward. Cole said he's better than MJF, and the fans know it. MJF said he'd fight Cole anywhere. Cole smirked, said attaboy, and then he hit the Adam Cole Bebe pose, and basically we get a match announcement later in the night that they're running eliminator match next week, which was Cole and MJF.
Cole badly needed this.
This was a long ass segment. But I thought it was fine. Like I thought it was I thought it was another case of Adam Cole redeeming himself from the last feud. The whole thing is crazy because he kind of stanked that shit out on the pay-per-view and it just didn't matter. They just kept charging ahead essentially with him. But he had a great night here and crowds continue to respond very positively to him. I think people are kind of into this dynamic. They're, I think, some of the strongest people on the mic, and a lot of people on, I think, Twitter kind of responded well to this. And it was, I don't know, I think there's people that may take it a little too far with what each of them say to each other here, but I think this was good business here.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Given what MJF's track record and Adam Cole's track record, this should work out very well.
Yep. So they're gonna have a match. Cole wins, he gets a title shot. I think Cole's gonna win, and then they're gonna do a rematch at Forbidden Door or something will happen. So after that, we got footage at the buy-in at Double or Nothing. The Hardys, of course, again, control the contract. Ethan Page's contract. I love this storyline. Not really, but so backstage we had Matt and Jeff and Brother Zay, and then they introduced Page. Basically said he needs to apologize to Brother Zay for injuring his neck. He apologized, and Matt said he could make Page very talented. Brother Zay then moaned in his ear.
I have a question. Where is Mark Quinn?
I believe he's injured.
Okay.
After that, we got a Texas Tornado match, and the Pretty Boys had decided to whoop some ass here. Jack Perry and Hook took on Preston Vance and Jalisco in a Texas Tornado match. This was wild. Tables, Preston Vance with the gusher out here, and loved it.
Very good match. I forgot what the spot. Oh, I can't remember what the spot was, but Drew Listico got put on his fucking head. Oh, it was supposed to be like a belly to belly throw on the floor, and Hook foot slipped on something wet on the floor, so he couldn't get him all the way over, and Drew Listico basically landed on the back of his head. It was bad. It sucked. It was on the floor too, on the mats on the floor. It sucked. I didn't hear anything about him being hurt or anything like that as far as update or whatever, but it looked bad. It looked rough.
Jungle Hook ended up getting the win here after a double tap out. There was a snare trap and a red rum. There was a T-bone suplex off the apron through the tables.
Yep.
They went crazy. So Jungle Hook rolls on, and look out. So Tony Khan has the AEW Collision announcement. Basically announces the main event of Switchblade Jay Wright, Juice Robinson, and Samoa Joe will be taking on FTR and CM Punk. Who from there?
Do you need to talk about the t-shirt?
Sure, we can talk about the shirt.
So CM Punk and FTR released a CMFTR t-shirt that is basically a ripoff of the black and pink Bret Hart triangle, and then their likenesses are animated and put in front of it instead of where the skull would be. The winged skull would be. So a lot of people that hate the Bret Hart tribute stuff from those three, and they hated this shirt as well. And as a person that does not necessarily hate that stuff, it made me roll my eyes. Like, I generally like the Bret Hart stuff that they do, but this one made me roll my eyes. Like, it's one thing to do, it's another thing to now, like, you're trying to monetize it. Okay. All right.
It was always leading here when they started wearing those Sons of the Hitman shirts and shit like that. Like, this is always where it is. I just want to know, when does FTR go back to wanting to be the Brainbusters? Like, does that come when they turn heel? Like, is this just the babyface gimmick, or like what's the deal with that?
I don't know.
When I saw it, I thought it was like high quality artwork though. I like the design.
It's not like it's bad. It's just, obviously, you know what it is, and it's like,
right.
It's not that creative. It's a fine shirt if you're into all of this stuff. I can see. I have no problem with someone like this into it. Like, if Floyd picked it up, I'm not gonna clown on Floyd for buying that shirt, because Floyd's into all this stuff. So yeah, cool, whatever. Like I said, like, if they weren't so heavy-handed with the stuff, I'd probably be into it. I would never buy that shirt, because I don't really buy shirts with like wrestlers' likenesses on like that, except for a few occasions. But yeah, or a few like exceptions. I mean, but yeah, like, I just I was like, oh, okay. I wonder how that sold. I have no idea. It's on the best.
It's probably going to do really well.
I imagine so. It's CM Punk.
Yeah. But yeah, I saw it and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay. That's what they're doing. I was like, should Bret Hart sue or be flattered? Which one? I don't know.
And it's also nothing where it's like, this is coming up so close to the Owen Hart thing. Like, is Owen, like, are one of them three going to win the Owen?
Look, I wouldn't even want none of them in it, because they would forget they're paying tribute to the wrong Hart brother. Like, come on, man. Like they be out here trying to do all the bread. Like, we are talking about Owen, nigga. Owen. Martha's here.
Just throwing the insecurity. That's all.
Fuck.
Just throwing the insecurity. That's it.
Dax can't do that no more. He's washed.
I think that he can put one foot into another person's arm and then jump up and kick the other one. I don't think he's that completely cooked. Like, it's, you know, so funny. Like, when you think of like wrestling or whatever else, you think of like the things where like innovative, like you see a spin move kick, whatever else, you like, and like you're an adult now, you're like, that shit wasn't hard.
Bro, spinning wheel kick, I used to love that fucking move. I'm like, yo, how the fuck did he?
I know.
It's like,
I know.
It ain't that quiet. But yeah, I saw this and I was thinking of, like, you bringing up FTR. I'm like, what if them boys, they went crazy last year? Like, you know, they wrestled real hard last year. They signed that contract. It's time to lay it down now, bitch.
Oh, so now they're the oh my god, they're Anderson and Gallows now.
Oh my god, no, I mean not like that, but you know, you heard about like dudes how it used to be back in the NBA. Somebody finally get their money and be like, you know what,
right? Yeah. Like it, you know. Look, I haven't seen enough of them this year to be like for sure that's a thing with them. I just think that like they've had opponents where like they can't exactly rear back and try to have like a 4.5-star match with Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. Look, when Ozzy opened, when Mark Davis gets upright and everything, whatever else, when they get their match with the marquee tag teams, we'll see. Because like, if they ain't getting it done, they need to take the belts off of them. No, until they can heal up or whatever else. Because like, there's a clear difference from what I've seen of them in their matches, most of their matches this year compared to prior years since they've been in AEW. Like, regardless of whatever we had with their issues with whatever else, like there's a certain standard they were bringing to the ring, especially even Dax with singles matches. And like, it's not necessarily, they've had some quality matches this year, but like it seems to be a down year almost for them. So now we're like almost halfway through the year now.
Honestly, like with them and CM Punk, like they might actually want to consider the trios division. Like
I wouldn't be mad at that if they were the trios at all. Not at all. Like if that was the thing they're doing, like that's almost like their B-side stuff where it's like Punk does his thing, FTR does their thing. If there's room to have a match with a heel, three heels or whatever else they can have a match, I'm fine with that. Perfectly fine with that.
Or all three of them can turn. Sure,
why not? I mean, that has to be on the table for them to turn heel, depending on how this goes with CM Punk. Definitely.
Yeah. So after that, we got Konosuke Takeshita taking on a gentleman named Damon Ace. Konosuke Takeshita, of course, coming out to the Pootie Tang. No music, booze, and then during the match, they're playing all the highlights of like Don Callis and Takeshita like turned on Kennedy
on the Jumbotron. Yes.
So again, Takeshita whoops his ass, beats him with a running knee. Don takes the microphone, and I think he's like, it's going to be so easy to like, they try to do a repeat of the previous week or whatever, and it wasn't quite working at first, but then he got him going. like he always does. So Takeshita grabbed the mic, was like, fuck that, I want to talk Japanese. And Callis said everything.
You know, tell us what he said?
Nah, I'm not gonna let y'all know what he said. I will leave that to the man that attended the country of Japan this year. So go ahead, James.
No, I was joking as far as saying like they didn't. Whatever you watching, you ain't got to know. So how? Because some of the places they'll translate some of these promos, like they'll do the EO and Oscar stuff or whatever else. I figured like that was up by now.
Oh yeah, I hadn't seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I imagine it was, fuck you. I'm gonna fuck you up. Shit like that. Like, I heard like I think Oscar be cussing in them shits.
Yeah. Not like anything super vulgar, but it's like you call people, they be calling each other dumbasses and jackasses and stuff like that.
Yeah. So Don said everything Kenny had in his life was because of him.
Yes. I was fucking howling at this.
He said Omega defeated Will Ospreay because of Callis, and Omega's become cancer in his body, so he cut it out, and his family's going to cut the Elite from AEW for good. There's a bunch of shit he said here, but a lot of trades ended up with a lot of big boos in this whole segment.
Another great segment by Callis.
Yep. So they Alex Marvez was back there with Christian Cage, some commotion going on. And then all of a sudden he said he's an uncrowned TNT champion, something that Arn Anderson caused him. So, we got to, make this motherfucker Arn feel it. And they opened the door, and Luchasaurus had whooped Brock Anderson's ass, left him in his own blood, and said it's an early Father's Day present.
Nah, he said they whooped Brock Anderson. Look, they opened up that door, and I was like, holy shit, is 1988 Arn Anderson? I was like, how the fuck did that work?
They got access to time travel? Like, is this AI?
I whooped his ass. It's just whooping him now.
Is this AI?
Bro.
It's a hologram?
Bro, how old did they say Lars is? Oh, not Lars. How old did they say Brock Anderson is?
Brock Anderson.
He's 20 what? Mid-20s, right?
Brock Anderson is 26.
He's 26 going on 46. That
correct.
Look, I'm sorry. I don't know what it is, but like Arn's genes produces old. Look, when I was a kid, Arn was old. He's older now, but he don't look appreciably different than he did in the 90s. And his son is 26, and what does he look like? An old man. It's amazing.
And he's looked this way for years.
Right.
It wasn't like there was no young looking Brock
I've never seen no young Brock Anderson.
Like,
never.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Yeah. And Brock on the tuck, like, last time I saw him, he was in there with FTR. He can wrestle his ass off, like, technically, on the mat and everything. And he can move, he has pace and all that kind of stuff. It's just, he's like one of those factory guys, and they don't really have much of a way to showcase him in that way. But like if you were to go somewhere, I think he could actually like not necessarily become a star or anything like that, but like could have some quality matches.
Yeah. Well, one would think there's another show, so maybe something will open up for him where he has a chance to get on television, but who knows?
Yeah.
Chris Statlander took on Anna JAS and retained the TBS title. Thought this was decent. They're clearly building up Statlander versus Taya. Taya's getting more furious the more she sees Statlander, getting these W's. I thought there was this was a pretty cool finish. She gave her the Tombstone Pile Driver for the win. So I'm all for Chris Statlander using the Tombstone as her finisher.
What was she using that was like a regular finish before the 450? She had something else. Was it a wheelbarrow driver?
Kind of, yeah. It was like the wheelbarrow kind of deal.
Okay, well, I mean, Tombstone, it's same difference, same shit, except one hooks the legs underneath and the other one doesn't. So
bastard driver. So, yeah.
Bastard driver?
Yeah. I didn't have any issue with this, but, after that, we got Jay White versus Ricky Starks. Gotta say, this ends obviously with a run-in at the end with the Gunn brothers possibly revealing themselves as members of Bullet Club Gold, which, them, I'll get to that in a second. Jay White and Ricky Starks in this match, a lot of people wanted to see this. A lot of people were crying. This wasn't getting all the promo time and stuff like that. Well, now you see why. This match was just mid for me. Like, I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was great. There was a lot of walking, brawling, and then
well-structured match that wasn't that dynamic except for the very end.
Seems like they were just wrestling like they knew an angle was happening at the end.
A lot of big move, kick out. Not a lot of, putting together a number of things to put someone, on the mat to finish them. It was a lot of just that. It wasn't like it was bad. It was just like, I think it's fair to say that we now know that, like, until further notice, Ricky Starks has a low ceiling in singles matches, big singles matches.
And I feel like, the Ricky Starks online fan army that swears to God this is like a main eventer being held down and everything like this. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I would just like to watch one of these matches and be wowed by him. Like,
he can't
in a
wrestle
match.
like MJF. He can't wrestle like Adam Cole. He can't wrestle like Swerve. He can't, like, there are too many guys that are just flat out better than him in the ring. Not to say that he's not good or whatever else, but like, he wrestles a certain style that only produces this amount of, what do you say, sensation amongst the crowd, unless you want to throw in some color here or there, some smoke and mirrors. But like, if it's not a smoke and mirrors match, then it's only gonna be at this particular level, and it's fine or whatever else. But
some exciting offense. Do you know what promotion you're in?
Yeah,
like it's just too competitive.
And also, I think he doesn't make enough use of his charisma during matches, given that like if you're at that particular level in the ring, then like he needs to up the emotional stakes for the crowd when he's wrestling with facial expression, all that kind of stuff. Like, he doesn't really do that as much as I think he should if he's going to only be at this level to make it feel more, people get more into it, given that what he's doing is what he's doing. Like, and don't get me wrong, like, he wrestles a way that works in a big match. It's just, it was I've seen Jay White disappoint me having great matches. When you have Jay White in a match that's just good, it makes me long for the days of seeing the 35-minute matches. And I'm like, nah, man, it can't be this. It can't be me wishing that I could watch Jay White wrestle 35 minutes where like only, 20 minutes he's fucking off.
I feel like this is a feud that should have never been booked. They clearly did not want to beat either man.
I didn't want to say it. Yeah, Crystal got it. I didn't want to say it, but that's what I was thinking.
Same. Yeah. That's why I said, do you know what company you're in? But as far as like these guys never being booked, I don't think they should have booked this because Ricky Starks was off a win. kind of, and it seemed like he had some going, and maybe you don't want to beat him. Jay White, you obviously can't beat him in his first like kind of real feud, and then he's moving on to supposedly be in the CM Punk thing. It just seemed kind of ill-advised, and now he's got the unit around him. I guess it's a good time to bring the Guns up. The Guns can be serviceable, like guys to fill out a group. I wonder if they're going to be like mixed in with this whole deal with CM Punk, because I remember last time there was a faction kind of being built to be put opposite of CM Punk. Like the Guns were in that faction too. So firm.
Okay.
So let's see it. So they have Jay White, Juice Robinson, and now the Guns. I think there's a lot of potential for Juice Robinson and the Guns being on camera together to be like absolutely hilarious. I think them around Jay White kind of gives White a little different look. The Bullet Club shit is long in the tooth, but there are people that still like it.
That's because they still have their shirts from 6 years ago.
Yeah. They're gonna have to trade all of them in for gold ones. So
have they started selling Bullet Club gold shirts yet?
I believe they have.
What, like, do they look any appreciably different from the regular standard?
I think they're just gold. I think.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken. But Jay White and Ricky, this was a feud that didn't need to be booked, and then largely led us to two unsatisfying finishes. One including a disqualification, and the other with like a blatant ref bump at the end that was so telegraphed. It was like, why is the ref this close? Oh, there's some bullshit happening here. The Young Bucks had gold ones back in the day, Sam. I remember that. But yeah, this whole thing I think was a massive disappointment, and it was just like an illustration of a lot of things going on right now in the promotion, where not clean victories, being afraid to beat people, and trying to spin people off in other directions, kind of. I don't know what Ricky Starks has a real claim for anymore in this. I don't know if he's going to be linked to Collision to go chase these guys down or anything. But a lot of this just seems ultimately unsatisfactory. And that's before you mention things like Aubrey Edwards being booked for a match, a trios match with the Jeff Jarrett side with Karen, and then she's with Mark Briscoe. What are we doing?
Sports entertainment.
What is this? Who asked for Aubrey Edwards to be? They barely can get wrestlers themselves on the television, on the shows. There are wrestlers sitting backstage that can't get booked, but we have to watch Aubrey Edwards wrestle. I understand places like WWE, places like WCW have let referees wrestle and stuff like that. Why should AEW be any different? That's it exactly. I thought this was different. People have tried to cite these bad examples like, Earl Hebner wrestled, Nick Patrick wrestled. We didn't need that. We don't need this. Nothing against Aubrey. I like Aubrey. I'm not one of the weirdos that talks about her and all this other shit. Right. Now, I imagine those people are going to have a field day now.
Yeah.
Right? But now we got to see Aubrey wrestling.
And it's an AEW match, not an ROH match, right?
Yeah, I think they're going to do it on Rampage. But still, no. You don't need this. No one asked for this. And I know Jeff Jarrett is big into the Gaga, and this is a Memphis ass match, Memphis angle, all this shit, right? I've largely enjoyed pretty much everything Jeff Jarrett has been involved in so far. I think he's been great, but this is like this could be the tipping point where it's like, all right, let's wrap this up and just turn down the volume on Team Double J for a little bit. But I'm looking at it. and it is just like, when I think of All Elite Wrestling, this don't match the, this don't go, but maybe there's a lot of people in his ear that have other ideas getting through. Personally, I would like this promotion to reflect the Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite and the Lucha Brothers and several other great wrestlers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And guys, Swerve and Orange Cassidy, the Pillars, and just kind of, and having people, win and lose to each other in good ways to where, if you lose, it's okay. You can come back. A lot of that stuff, something's in the water. So as we mentioned earlier in the show, the Collision stuff is going to answer a lot of questions about what this company is right now and what it's going to be for the next 6 months, because we'll know if they start like treating this shit like it's a like Collision's like a non-essential show, and then like it flops, and then everything like that. Like, and there's been a lot of like there's been a lot of talk amongst people like like what AEW used to be like, what it is like, and then a lot of people throwing bad faith stuff around, like, oh yeah, Seamus Nova brings it up. This is the same as the Librarians, and like there was bad stuff in the older days of AEW, but what there was,
and it's like, no man,
you're what there was
at the bottom of the card, not the top or the middle.
I'm saying, like, what there was like a lot of, there was a lot of great storylines. There was a lot of great fucking matches. There was a lot of like week to week TV where the crowds were fucking electric. Like just like every fucking week. It didn't have to be like, man, you didn't, is my TV all right? Like you didn't have to think about that at all. And then, as compared to, yes, they brought in more talent, but like bringing in that talent is only so much you can do when you're not booking them.
Like when you add people, you have to change people's roles, and that then like causes confusion as far as for the fans, as far as like accepting new people in, and then how long it takes to get people in and accepted. Like, they have too much talent for their own good, even with now another 2 hours, depending on how they utilize the 2 hours or whatever else. But like, it's really hard, and it's a hard undertaking, and I don't envy Tony Khan. I wouldn't want that job.
Might be fun for a little bit, but ultimately, I'd be like, hey man, who else want to do this? So, I got friends that work there, plural. So, best wishes for y'all gentlemen, and I hope y'all, if y'all are hearing this, just pass the word along. It's like we know like what these fans want. Like we see what people react to, and I know there are a lot of masters that kind of have to be served here, but I think you should not forget about the fans personally, because like I understand the fans aren't financing the TV deals and everything like that, but the fans are buying tickets or not buying tickets.
That's well said. Very well said. So I'm just looking through, because I've been for the last few minutes. I'm looking at like the recent arrivals at PWTs. I think I'm gonna pick up that Emerald Flosion Masawa shirt. But I'm still looking for. I'm seeing Just Five Guys again. I'm still looking for like this Bullet Club Gold shirt.
Maybe check Jay White.
I already looked at the Jay Whites. It's not there.
Oh, okay. Maybe they don't have them yet.
Maybe they don't. But yeah. All right. Let me stop looking at this and focus on the podcast. But yeah. So I want to spend the next $100 on. But yeah, man. I noticed. I agree with a lot of things you're saying, man. Like, obviously, I said it earlier in the show at the beginning. But like. I think we're past that point, but like, I think it's like clearly like we're beyond the honeymoon period with them now. And it's like, all right, you gave us this great stuff with, with Cody and Jericho and MJF and, Hangman leaving the Elite and now returning to the Elite and, Moxley turning heel now. You still have the foundational pieces except for Cody still. Like, Punk comes back and he was great when he was on TV. He could be great again. Depends on who wants to play ball with whoever else. But if this shit doesn't work out and those guys don't want to work with each other, it's going to be a fucking problem. And, cause it's literally going to be like CM Punk and FTR as, people with some juice and are top guys in the promotion and nobody wants to work with them. And it doesn't take too long for you to start to feel like, oh, this is Codyverse type shit where this is non-essential. These guys or this act working with mid-carders and non-other top stars isn't actually that important. And, it could be rough. So whatever happens, you need to figure this shit out. Cause it's not gonna make for better TV if nobody's working with each other and no one has anyone to blame for this except for CM Punk. But, I don't care. I want to see the toys wrestle. Sorry. I don't care about your feelings. Unless you're afraid someone's going to drop each other on their necks and paralyze each other. I don't care if you don't like each other. Go out there and fake fight each other, please. For my entertainment.
Yes, I will hit the music. Stardom.
Okay, so we're going to cover the two main events from June 4th and June 11th. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking to yourself, wait, this June 14th, we haven't covered a podcast, or we haven't covered Stardom on the podcast since the last pay-per-view that was on the 7th or earlier in the month. Like, what the hell's going on? Well, Stardom, and I've said this a couple weeks ago, like, Stardom has been backlogged as far as putting up shows that have been recorded but not posted onto Stardom World for they're about a month behind. Roughly a month behind.
How am I going to maintain my status as one of the top 75 voices, Stardom Western voices, if they don't upload the shows?
I don't know. You just keep doing what you're doing. I don't think much is going to change. But yeah, man.
I may drop out of the top 75, man. This is concerning.
I don't think you're going to drop out of the top 75 because they can't. If they don't have access to this shit, then if we don't have access to this shit, neither do they. Yeah, so, like, as far as that goes, as far as giving an idea of, like, how far behind they are, so Tam and Mina had the red belt, white belt, not unification, red belt, white belt match, and Tam's been the red belt, white belt champion for, like, 2 or 3 weeks now, and we still do not have the build up to that show yet on the fucking thing. So, like it's a full month behind. Like, the last show they've had up in its entirety was, I want to say 5/21. So yeah, like it's been a real issue. I want to say over the weekend they said they were going to put up this 6/11 main event, and that, like, they will shortly be resuming their regular schedule, which means hopefully they will have this shit straightened out and figured out before they get to the Grand Prix and this turns to a disaster. I quite frankly think that, like, they did, 7 shows in 9 days for Golden Week, and it kicked their ass, and they're behind on everything, and then they had to do the Mecca show, their Mecca retirement show, and they had long dialogue on it, and they had to do all the translation shit, and the shit kept getting behind, and the traveling caught up to Sonny, and it was kicking Sonny's ass, and now he's trying to get back right and on track. But, like, a lot of people that have been watching and have been paying for their Stardom World subscription for however long they've been doing it, be like, bro, like, these pay-per-views are coming up. I don't even have to build some of these shits. I don't know what's going on. I'm getting spoiled on results for any of the stuff weeks before on Twitter before I even have a chance to even watch shit, even if I wanted to. and a lot of people have complained or fallen out the habit, or a lot of people saying flat out, like, if y'all are gonna put up, I'm not gonna pay for a month for shows that y'all haven't put up for a month. I'm not renewing my sub until y'all fix this shit. So, they need to get back right on this, and that's just bottom line. But
reminds me of like that WCW shit back in the day where people would have like negative title reigns, like negative days, because like the shit hasn't actually made like tape yet, but it was recorded and people saw it. Like,
wow, I forgot about that. Yeah, man, like it's been really frustrating, and like that's been a real problem like since going into Golden Week. Like Tam won that title the week before Golden Week. They win the Golden Week, and then like it's like
the company shut down from there.
Like, okay, so we talked to you about this. I talked to you about this pretty often off air about like how they're, wrestling fans, especially Joshi fans, can be really nitpicky about booking decisions for house shows and stuff, right? And like they'll immediately see the result of something without actually watching the match because the match hasn't been uploaded yet, and you're like, well, what are you complaining about? You haven't even seen what the fucking match looks like. And so like, that's why for the longest, up until I took the trip to Japan, like I always kept everything blocked so I could just watch the shit when it goes up and watch it and react to it like it was intended to, as opposed to people had the results and then shit on whatever happened beforehand. So, because ultimately, 80% of the time, maybe even more, the booking ends up in from a total blown out or pulled out macro picture makes sense in the long run. Like, okay, why did this happen? Oh, well, this person getting into the fence in 2 months. That's why, or challenge 2 months. Okay, so, but when it happens for an entire month of you get all results and no matches, you're kind of like, it does seem to your mind like, what the fuck's going on? So, I guess in like 2 weeks we'll know what happened between Mina and Tam in the build up to the fucking match that already happened a month ago, or nearly a month ago. But anyway, June 4th, Suzu Suzuki called for a generational struggle match. She was assembled with, at the time, Saya Kamatani and, Micah and also Utami, and called out Tam and Julia and Shuri and Mayu. And, they all had their pieces to say about, like, you're the old guard, we want opportunities. The main event mafia saying, we've paid these dues, we've bled sweat and tears and all that kind of stuff to be here. You guys haven't gone through the struggles that we did, except for Utami. Cause basically it's really about the red belt more than anything is what they're all talking about. So, Utami and Kamatani have both been at odds during matches where like it's a lot of malfunction at the junction where they hit each other, and like now it's gotten escalated to the point where like their frustrations cause them to fight during the middle of matches, and then they get broken up, and then they continue having matches or continue the match after that. But like you see they're clearly getting on each other's nerves.
I am pretty intrigued by this.
Right. And that's the beauty of like, when you see something, just because it's been you see like the clips of it, but when you actually can see the whole fucking match, it's so much better, right? but anyway, so everybody comes out. I believe the match starts with, was it Julia and Utami? I can't remember, but because I watched the match like 2 weekends ago. But generally speaking, it's a back and forth match, basically anchored on one end with Tam and Julia on the veteran, on the, let's say, the red belt side, and then Micah and Suzu basically anchoring most of the stuff on the young up and comer side. And the interactions between Julia and Tam are basically like Tam is like getting her ass whooped after fighting through 2 tags from the opposite side. She has a chance to break free and to tag out, and is like, do I want to tag in Julia? Fuck it, I'll tag in Julia. And then there's also other issues where like they have team, cause it's Julia and it's Shuri, that's the ALK former tag team, and it's Tam and Mayu on the other side. It's the former Tam Mayu tag team. And then you have Aphrodite of Kamatani and Utami. So like they're all at a certain point towards the end, they're all throwing in like their tag team moves at each other, dives from the floor. And then you get to the final stretch, it is Kamitani versus Mayu, and they basically break out a high-speed match at the end, and they're racing each other, and people are coming in and making plays on the outside to try to save pins or try to put people down for the count, and ultimately it goes to a time limit draw because Mayu goes up for the moonsault and like lands it, and then like gets a 1 count, and then as the second hand goes down, as another hand goes down for the second for the 2 count, the bell rings. 30 minutes. It's a blast. I think it's my favorite Quattros match in Stardom since like the Queen's Quest Donna Del Mondo stuff from 2020. I remember Rich loved that match. I think you get it 4.5 at the time. I didn't give it that high of a mark, but I would give it's over 4. I don't know if I give it flat out 4.25, but like it was awesome. It was fun, and they played off each other so well, and you could tell like Utami's like, why the fuck am I put with these 3 when I belong with these other 4? Because I'm a fucking red belt a former red belt champion, just like they are. And it's like, you're starting to see like, where the hell is this like breakup or potential breakup thing with Queen's Quest going to go?
Yeah, a lot of cool cross matchups in this thing. Just like, oh, Julia and Utami are in the ring together. Let's see it. Like,
and they clearly tease, like, we know we've been protecting this match.
Sai Kamitani and Mayu, you know, Suzu Suzuki and Tam, and then Suzu and Julia, of course. I was loving all the cross matchups.
Shuri and Micah was also awesome for the time they had.
Micah came in, was
that second matchup, I think.
Wrecking House. She I like the portion where Tam and Julia like end up kind of faced off in the ring against each other. Tam steals on her anyway, just like for old time's sake. Like, why wouldn't I steal on you? Like you in the wrong place, kind of. I'll just hit you, and then the crowd kind of laughs, and then Julia tags out of the match by slapping Tam in the face.
And then Tam was like, "Let's go!"
Yeah. I was like, well,
this is like the second time. I think the second time they've ever had to tag with each other in any form. Like the one was the one like right after the hair match where like they had to draw straws, and then like they had to fight basically for money. But it was like the same thing where it's like, we're tagging reluctantly, but if we get a chance to rock the other one, we will, because we fucking hate each other. And I was like, I love nothing more than watching how much these two hate each other. It will never die. Like if they ever if Tam retires and like they hug at the end, I'll be like, I didn't want to see that. I wanted them to slap each other and they both walk away from each other. That's what I wanted to see.
Stupid. But yeah, I think by far the most compelling thing is the Kamitani and Utami thing.
Yeah.
If you've been waiting for Utami to get into something, it seems like the ball is finally rolling on it.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good way to take Kamitani out of the white belt scene and make sure she doesn't like kind of feel out of place, and it's like this kind of personal group thing. And you know, the big criticism on Kamitani is like she doesn't have any storylines. She's not any good at this type of stuff.
Yep.
But
or it's too goofy. Yeah.
I think this is going to give her a chance to kind of stretch those legs. And you know, they've had a match before, you know, that I like a lot.
Yeah. They've had 2 matches. Well, they've had at least 2. Well, they've had one since they were both in Queen's Quest. Yeah, that Budokan Hall match. Yeah.
And I think this is where it's at right now until like we figure out, you know, what's happening next with like the red and white belts.
Yeah. At the last pay-per-view on the undercard that had the red belt and white belt match, you had Oedo Tai and Queen's Quest basically kind of throw down after the tag title match, and they suggested like, let's do a 6 versus 6 Queen's Quest Oedo Tai cage match, where the stipulations are 6 versus 6, everybody must escape. The last person to not be able to escape is disbanded from their faction. They don't have to join the other faction, but they're disbanded. They're basically exiled, right? So those are the stakes for the next match. for the match that's on the 25th of this month, so a couple weeks. So, the prelude match to that was 5 versus 5 Queen's Quest Oedo title elimination match, where it was basically a lucha tag, so there's no tags and elimination. So pinfall, count out, submission, and over the top rope elimination. So
it's my favorite kind of elimination match. WWE should definitely steal this for Survivor Series.
It would be so much more fun because then you can actually like beat people without having to worry about them protecting people with pins and stupid shit and goofy non-finishes and countouts. So this was Utami, Azumi, Kamatani, Lady C, and Amasaki versus Momo, Kid, Natsuko, Saki, and Rawaka. And elimination by elimination, Rawaka gets eliminated by, I want to say it was Azumi with a Lamisica and then the Azumi sushi pin, get her out of there. You had four eliminations back to back where like Momo and basically Momo, what was it, Momo? It was like, yeah, Momo and Natsuko and Utami and I want to say Kamatani all got eliminated off the top rope. And then the final two was on Queen's Quest. It was Amasaki and Azumi versus Starlight Kid and Saki. The final two come down to Amasaki and... No, I'm sorry. It was Azumi and Saki as the final two.
I was gonna say Amasaki impressed me in this match. I don't.
Her instincts and her movement in the ring have improved from like last year. Quite frankly, I think it's just like she's gotten more reps compared to what she was, and like she wasn't wrestling as often as like the normal rookie had in the last few years in Stardom. So it was like when she showed up, it was like in her first match against Utami, it was like, oh, she's, she could be like a Kamatani type, or like, clearly they're giving her gear where she's not like somebody that's just a stand. It's like somebody they feel like they could push in a year or two. But like her progress was stagnated, and it was like, she's not on shows as often. And it's like, I didn't see her progress in the way that like, someone like Lady C progressed. I'm like, okay, so what's going on here? But like this year, in the ring, she moves more confidently, and I think it just comes down to like she's having more matches compared to a regular rookie was in the last few years. So good to see that kind of growth because like they put her with Azumi in that we're 20-year-old tag team thing, and it's like this is a chance for her to like level up wrestling with somebody that's that good really quickly, like very similar to Kamatani and Utami, but you didn't know if it was going to take or how fast it was going to go, if it ever was going to go at the rate. But now you're starting to see, and it's like, okay. And then, you also had the Yokohama Arena match with Fua and Hazuki and Utami. Is like, okay, she can now be in matches. You can trust her not to fuck up. So yeah, definitely liking the stock I had in her futures a lot more now than before. So, as you know, Saki, she pinned Def to win the high speed title off of Azumi, but she never actually pinned Azumi, and people were wondering like, why the hell didn't she pin her? And then in this match, in the prelude match, Oedo needs a big win. Saki ends up getting her flash crucifix pin on Azumi after a bunch of near falls and having a mini high speed sequence at the end, and finally pins Azumi, and there you go. She gets to pin her. So yeah.
Look at Saki Kashima thriving in life. Telling you, Momo got to take notes, got to get in line. Now,
this match wasn't nearly as good as the main event match that we just previewed, but like I still think it's a quality match. Probably something like 3.5, 3 and 3/4. I did like the element of the eliminations, but they got through it so fast. It like, see how many.
It was hard. It was like ding, 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 ding. Like there was like a lot of it in a row.
People got out real fast, but liked it. Do you watch the promo stuff at the end?
I did not see the promo stuff at the end. Okay. Was it translated?
Yes, it was. That one was.
Okay. So the first one wasn't, so I assume the second one wasn't.
Yeah. So Nats gets on the mic and says, when we suggested having this the cage match, we said that we're doing a lot of talk. That Oedo Tai is doing a lot of talking and not a lot of back walking or whatever else. But now we're the ones that won. So what you got to say now? And then Natsuko points out, is like, what the hell happened to you? Like, these people, like Queen's Quest, like, they don't trust you as a leader right now. And like, then by the end of it, like,
shit fucked up.
At the end of it, like, you see literally like Kamitani and Azumi together walk away from the ring without Utami, and then behind following them is Amasaki and Kid, and then Utami's like, she goes out to the apron and just sits there and like looks sad, and eventually, gets on her feet and walks off, and it's like, they're playing the mental games, whatever, getting this win, and like, it leads you to think like, they're really pressing you heavy to like, this could be the end of like the Utami leadership era of Queen's Quest when, one of them leaves possibly, or one of them loses possibly. So, I don't know if this is the thing with like, play hard, tease hard that they're going to break up, and then like you have them win and it galvanizes them again. And because obviously like we're at the point now where like they're at the lowest they've been in a long time. None of them have belts. It's the first time in a long time that nobody's in Queen's Quest had belts. So it's like
Ryan Queen's Quest right now.
Yeah. So, this could be like, this is the story of them beginning to cycle back up. If they win this match. So it's interesting whichever way they go. You know what I'm hoping for them to go. Like, I need them to go ahead and, leave Natsuko or leave somebody, in that damn cage by themselves, and then sad Oedo Tai breakup, bye-bye. Probably go somewhere else and has a better career after they leave Oedo Tai, but we'll see, because Oedo Tai, they put a lot of equity into Oedo Tai ruins factions over the last few years, right? Like, I think, they took Death out of Stars, they took Kid out of Stars, they took Momo out of Queen's Quest. Like, they've won a lot of these over the last few years. So like, it gives you that sense of dread. It's like, they're gonna fuck up something good again. That's all they're good for, is fucking up something good. So yeah, like, I think 12 people in a cage match is a lot, but I'm interested to see how it goes. And like, that's probably going on second to last instead of the main event, because Rossi tends to book for, sending people home happy. Like, they did that cage match where, Tam and Aspoy should have been the main event last year, but like, because of the story, they had to do the fun cage match at the end to get people happy on the way out. I think that's the reason why like the hair match ended up the way it is, where like, Julia and Tam end up, or Julia raises Tam's hand at the end because like they didn't want to end on a sad note where like, oh, it's over for Julia, 'cause she's bald now. So like, I think they're going to have, somebody get sent off from their faction. They're going to do that. And then like the main event will end up being, the trios cage match between, Mayu, Hazuki, and Kaguma versus the new trios champions, Julia, Tekla, and Mai. Another example of that is when they did the Momo leaving Queen's Quest match. Like, that in the main event, they did that trios ladder match thing in the main event of that pay-per-view, because send people home happy. So, like, I'm assuming that's going on second to last, so people will be like, oh no, Saki Oshima's out of Queen's Quest, or sorry, out of Oedo Tai, or Utami's out of Queen's Quest, whatever. Like, nah, we're going to sing you sad, and then we'll give you another match to make you forget about the sadness. So, I think that's what they end up doing.
Carnies.
Yeah. I mean, it could be worse. You could just have, the tongue and spike, and then the spear, and then send your ass home.
And a nigga like this with overdose.
And a nigga in the ring looking sad.
With a chicken.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the chicken. Yeah.
Oh man.
And they be like, so how do we come back from that? Have him fight Dominic Mysterio at Money in the Bank. Isn't that in
the fuck?
Isn't that in the UK this year?
Yeah. That crowd's gonna be crazy.
What's the date on that? I forgot. It's coming up, isn't it?
It's like the first week of July, I believe.
Okay. That's good. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Stardom decides to give us some more stuff, we'll be here to cover it. So
Got to maintain that status. Top 75, baby.
All right, yeah, but that's the end of the show, y'all.
I appreciate everybody that wanted us to have been on Chris Jericho's podcast, but I think the gentlemen that were on there did a fine job.
Yeah, like, they know what the hell they're talking about. Stardom Cast does a good job. Like, I don't listen to them often, but I've listened to them enough and be like, oh yeah, they know what they're talking about. I disagree with some of the stuff, but, you know, I disagree with pretty much anybody's stuff when they talk, because it's an opinion about pro wrestling. Like, I listen to JD stuff, like, from Red Leaf Wrestling, like, yep, okay. Oh, here he goes, burying the eye again. Here you go. Here you go, talk about Chihiro Hashimoto. Here you go, talk about how, like, the indie scene outside of Stardom ain't doing shit. Here you go again. All right, man, I get it. But yeah, man, like, he covers stuff, he watches stuff, he has his opinions. I respect most of his opinions. Some things I just disagree with because, like, I'm not as into the Joshi scene. I see it as just other wrestling, and, like, he has his long, you know, established opinion of the stuff he's seen over the years and what he thinks will work or won't work, and that's why he feels how he feels. But, like, for me, it's like, hey, I don't really think about what's going to draw 900 versus 700. I'm trying to see some fun shit. I don't care like that. I'm trying to see the Knight hit that shoot punch. Yeah. That's real.
Them sound like collision numbers. God damn.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine it come out there to Saskatchewan and draw 700 people for a TV, bitch?
No, there's one show that they have 800 something tickets out. It's like Hamilton or some shit right now.
Oh my god!
But it's like 3 weeks away or some shit, so it'll go up. But it ain't looking good, man.
Yeah. All right, man. That's it. The show. Yeah. Be sure to raise all app you're using. Listen to this. Go to the show notes and the descriptions. And the show notes, and go to the red circle link and donate there. And be sure to listen to the other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, Grown Men Watch This Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, Get in the Ring, and Meet the Press Slam. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace. Make sure you stream Dream Machine Act 1 and 2.
Later.